that this is a much better Wildcat team. 3 of those 5 losses by just a couple points. It's been a really tough year for the Wildcats.
Yeah, problem is now missing so many of those top players. As Stormy just run game on the outside, he needs some help. And we'll see if he can get it here today as the Wildcats have the ball first to start this game. And a first play run to the left side, and Joe Jackson just had nowhere to go.
And you know, just to finish a comment on Avery Johnson, you know, I just don't think the 5-5 team record really says, you know, the type of season he's had. Yes, he struggled mightily a week ago on the road at Oklahoma State, but he's done some good things. He's improved his completion percentage from a season ago. You see that over 2,000 yards through the air, another 400 on the ground, and 24 total touchdowns. He just hasn't had a great supporting cast around him.
2nd and 11, first drive of the game for the Wildcats, and Johnson gets rid of it, and the ball's dropped. Well, to your point, Braden Lofton, that was right there, pass right in his hands, and that would have been a first down, a big play. Instead, it's going to be 3rd and 11.
And just a critical error early in this football game. You have to stay ahead of the sticks. Great job by Johnson recognizing the pressure, getting the football out. But you mentioned the drops. This is something that has plagued this offense all season long. And today at Rice-Eccles Stadium, a very tough atmosphere. You can't have those plays.
Chris Kleiman, we saw a quick shot of him, the longtime head coach in Manhattan, told us, if we don't lead the Big 12 in drops, I wonder who does. Now Johnson pressured and gets rid of it. Got hit as he threw the ball. Scooped up by Barton. He takes it in, but that's an incomplete pass. I'm certain of it, and they will blow the play dead. John Henry Daly got the pressure in.
Well, communication has been an issue for this Kansas State offensive line. You go back to a week ago, they struggled against pressure with Oklahoma State, and this is just miscommunication. Who's gonna block John Henry Daly? This is a guy that has 9.5 sacks, which is 7th best in the FBS. You better know where Henry Daly is. It looked like Kansas State was trying to set up some sort of screen, but you still have to get a hand on the defensive end before you head out.
And now they're going to throw a very late penalty flag.
Intentional grounding, optics number 2. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. The penalty includes loss of down, 4th down.
And Chris Kleiman very unhappy with that penalty. It took him a long time to talk about it. They decide it was intentional grounding.
And I think that's a good call by the officials. There is a running back in Joe Jackson somewhat in the vicinity, but the ball, it looks like, kind of hit 6 to 7 yards away from the running back. Pretty good call by the officials. But like I said, that is a mistake that could have been avoided if the offensive line just got a hand on Henry Daly as they work out for the screenplay.
Sideline warning, Kansas State sideline. There's no yardage with this penalty. This is a warning.
So I think Chris Kleiman just got warned on the sideline. We're less than a minute into this game, and already the things that we've talked about with Kansas State, a drop, a huge drop, a miscommunication along the line, Avery Johnson just not getting enough help, and they got to punt the ball to Utah. So on 4th and 20 and pressure on the punter, fair catch signal made outside the 40-yard line. So excellent field position for this Utes offense, which has been just about unstoppable lately. Why? Part of it is when they've given him a chance. And so Dampier will start with Wayshawn Parker in the backfield, and they'll give it to Parker, a huge hole. Right side run. That's just happening over and over again with the Utah offense.
It is. We talked about it in the open. This has been one of the most dominant offenses in all college football, and a big reason for that, it's the 3-headed monster in the backfield. Not only is it Devin Dampier, it's Bert Ficklen, like you just mentioned, but Wayshawn Parker's been fantastic as of late. The last 3 games, he's gone over 100 yards from the backfield.
They direct snap it to Parker, who kind of faked a jet sweep off the Wildcat look, and then just ran it straight ahead for a Utah first down.
So you have a 3-headed monster in the backfield. You have a fantastic offensive coordinator in Jason Beck, but then look at the offensive line. You have 5 guys that returned last year as starters. You have 2 offensive tackles that are going to go in the first round of the NFL draft. This is a Joe Moore Award semifinalist group.
That pass from Dampier high and off the hands of Dallin Bentley, the tight end, incomplete.
So when you really combine all of those things, where's the weak spot with this Utah offense right now? You can't find it. They have fantastic tight ends. Ryan Davis at the wide receiver position, who also transferred over with Devin Dampier from New Mexico, having an excellent year. This is a high-flying, potent offense, and it's going to put a lot of stress on Kansas State today.
He's going to give it little fly sweep action, and beautifully defended by Kansas State. Man, what a play that was in the open field. The tackle for Daniel Cobbs for a big loss.
Well, a big part of this game defensively for Kansas State is going to be the nickelback position. You're going to see it right here with Cobbs, and he has to set the edge. Otherwise, Daniel Bray, who got the football, I mean, he can take any football the distance, just a little over. He's a really fast track kid, 10-300. So great play by Daniel Cobbs to set that perimeter edge and force the 3rd and long.
3rd and 15, which, as good as Utah's offense has been, they're not really equipped for this. Dampier is going to keep it. Dampier trying to bounce it outside. Back into K-State territory. It's going to be 4th down and about 7 from inside the 45. We'll see.
Well, this is interesting. You see a little bit of hesitation on the sideline. It's too far for a field goal. Obviously going for it here on 4th and 8 wouldn't be the best decision. I think Kyle Whittingham wants to play the field position game early and try to punt this ball and pin Kansas State deep.
Ryan Phillips, the punter, with the flowing locks out of the helmet. We'll try to put K-State's offense in a bad spot here. Sterling Lockett, we believe, is going to do most of the punt returning today. Fair competitive with Texas Tech in Manhattan. So it's not like it's been a totally lost year as they get the ball for the 2nd time now here in Salt Lake City. But the challenge today, Brock, is, and they complete their first pass of this drive without so many of those playmakers and the big weapons that they thought they would have. What's the formula? What's the recipe for pulling off an upset today?
Well, it's not going to be pretty, Flem. If Kansas State's going to do anything here offensively today, it's just going to kind of have to be a ground and pound, kind of an ugly football game. I think early on in the game, you have to be willing to take those 2-3 yard carries, because the key to the whole thing for Kansas State is being in 3rd and short, so Avery Johnson's legs can be a factor.
Play fake, and then Johnson and his receiver were not on the same page. He just airmailed Jerron Tibbs out of bounds. It's 3rd and 5.
And we've already talked about it. Kansas State, going back a week ago and early on in this football game, it's communication. And you can tell Avery Johnson just not on the same page with Tibbs. Avery thinks his wide receiver's going to run a go route. Instead, he sits it down. Communication is going to be paramount today for the Wildcats. They need to clean it up.
And communication with the noise of Rice Eccles. It was interesting talking to Chris Kleiman, because he's never been here before.
And John Henry Daly, 9.5 sacks on the season. You have to know where he is at all times.
He's getting into the backfield. That's where he is. Johnson slings it out, and that pass is caught for a 1st down. And Tibbs held on to this one. That was a good play by the quarterback.
Really nice job by Johnson navigating the pocket. The thing I love most, he gets the pressure from Henry Daly, but watch how he keeps his eyes up, keeps him downfield, and that's why he's able to pick up a 1st down for his offense. Really nice play by Avery Johnson.
It was close. That ball came close to hitting the turf there, but they called it a catch. 1st and 10 Wildcats, their first down of the game. Jackson in the backfield. He'll get the carry. Bounce it left side, and now a big gain across the 40 to midfield, and still going all the way down to the 30-yard line. The explosive run plays, which just have not been there very often for K-State. That's a huge one.
Excellent job by Joe Jackson being patient. He gets the defense to commit inside, and then he bounces it outside with a great jump cut to pick up an explosive gain for Kansas State. This is exactly how Kansas State needed to start the game a week ago on the road against Oklahoma State. Their first 4 possessions resulted in 4 punts. So this is a good sign if you're a Wildcat fan.
44 yards on that run play, well into Utah territory. 1st down from the 30. Jackson still in the backfield, and he's going to get another carry, and this time John Henry Daly drags him down for a loss.
Well, not only does John Henry Daly affect the pass game as a pass rusher, but you can see the tenacity that he plays with off the edge, hawking down the running back from behind. Fantastic instincts for Henry Daly.
It's a pretty cool story, isn't he? He's sort of a self-made player, not a guy who's going to pop off in terms of the measurables and the just pure athleticism. He's just turned himself into one of the better defensive players in the country.
That's right, Flem. A young player that wasn't really seeing much playing time a year ago, met with defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley, and now he's made a huge difference with an offseason of improvement.
K-State, another mistake up front. I think everybody went, but then the ball wasn't snapped.
54, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Well, that's interesting, Flem, because it looked like Avery Johnson was using a voice cadence. You can see how his helmet's moving. There's no clap. There's no foot lift. This is way too loud of an environment to try to use your voice from shotgun. Offensive line wasn't able to hear him. They jump off sides.
We asked Avery this week about that communication, about how to account for the crowd noise. He even was telling us some stuff about how he's got to be louder inside the huddle to make sure his teammates can hear. Handoff and squirting through out into the open field, cutting it back left. Antonio Martin, touchdown. Wow, what a run from the second stringer. 37 yards, and Kansas State is on the board first.
What a drive by the Wildcats, and an even more impressive run by Antonio Martin. His offensive line did a terrific job of winning level 1. Martin Jr. stayed patient, and when the hole opened, ran through it and hit his head on the goalpost. Very impressive by the Wildcats.
Wow. A run of 44 yards and then the touchdown run of 37. Two explosive plays on the ground for K-State. Luis Rodriguez, extra point. And that is up and good. What did Chris Kleiman say to us about Antonio Martin? I think he might be able to help us this week.
And we saw it on that last play. Rice-Eccles Stadium right now is silenced and in shock. Kansas State up early, 7-zip.
To the sun, but returnable for Bray and Utah, and he'll get it out across the 25 and about to the 30-yard line.
So if you're sitting at home and you're wondering how Kansas State broke off 2 explosive runs on a top 10 defense, watch the individual effort by Andrew Lanegang and how he gets to linebacker Jonathan Hall late in the play just to get a glancing block on him, and ultimately that's what springs Antonio Martin for the first touchdown of the game. Great effort up front by the 5 offensive linemen, the tight end, and then you can see the patience that both backs have displayed early in this football game.
Lanegang almost like he blocked 3 different guys on one play. A little dump down from Dampier to Wayshawn Parker, the tailback, out across the 35-yard line for a gain of about 5 on first down.
Well, if you're a Kansas State fan right now, you're feeling pretty optimistic. You're seeing some good complimentary football. Your defense had a great first series out there, forcing a punt on this high potent offense by the Utes, and then you see what your offense is doing. We'll see if Utah can answer.
Dampier keeps left side, trying to get around the corner, shoves a defender. My goodness, just tried to bully Gunnar Maldonado out of the way. Tackled a yard short of a first down.
Tell you what, for Devin Dampier, only 5'11", 210 pounds, but he runs with physicality. It doesn't matter that he's been battling injuries all season long and he's banged up. You can see what this game means to him. and a great effort to get this to 3rd and 1.
By the way, Bert Ficklin, the second quarterback who's been so dynamic, is in as a wide receiver. And I think he was in the wrong spot on that formation. So Utah may have outsmarted themselves there. Penalty flag was thrown. Ficklin was moving around. I don't think they were very organized.
Well, now you get some miscommunication between Ficklin and Daniel Bray, who got the football.
Illegal shift, offense. 2 players were in motion and did not reset. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
You're going to see Ficklin at the bottom of your screen. And then there's Daniel Bray. Bray needs to give Ficklin time to get on this football. You cannot have 2 guys moving at the same time. You see they both are. Easy call for the officials.
So instead of 3rd and short, which looked like an easy conversion, it's 3rd and 6 now for Utah. Parker, play fake to him. Dampier throws over the top and off the hands of his intended target, Bentley, the tight end. Penalty flag though around that play. Maybe his arm got pulled down.
What a throw by Dampier. Right in the breadbasket.
Pass interference, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Oh, he didn't get a number. Maybe Maldonado.
No, it actually wasn't on Maldonado. It was at the very bottom of the screen. There was a big collision between a wide receiver and a defensive back. Which, yeah, keep your eye at the bottom of the screen. Anytime you grab the receiver like that, 10 yards down the field, going to be an easy call.
Okay. So that really had nothing to do with the actual play, but a big penalty gives Utah the 1st down. And on 1st and 10, a gain of 1 for Parker.
What disappointment for Kansas State. You're getting ready to get off the field, give the football back to your offense. You have all the momentum in the world, and it's poor technique that leads to a 1st down for Utah.
Dampier rolling right, looking down, and will throw incomplete. His receiver fell down. I don't think that play had a great chance anyway. Ryan Davis, the intended target.
Ryan Davis, not one that typically slips out there on the perimeter, has such great rapport and chemistry with Devin Dampier coming over from New Mexico, having an excellent season, just shy of 700 yards on the year.
It's interesting talking to the K-State folks coming into this game. There's like some incredulity about how teams were defending. And now K-State might have moved early on 3rd and long. That would be another big penalty against the Wildcats if it is. But the point was, like, why aren't teams loading up to stop the run and just daring Utah to throw the ball?
Offside, defense number 91, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Jordan Allen with the penalty. So instead of 3rd and 9, it's about 3rd and 4.
And what a difference that makes for an offense. Well, we're seeing it early. The question is, which one of these football teams is going to settle into the ball game? Utah and Kansas State both take a lot of pride in being some of the least penalized teams in the country. We haven't seen that early on today.
Rogers leaves the backfield. Bray is in there. Dampier's going to dump it down to Bray with all that quickness. Made one man miss and then falls forward and might have gotten there. I think he did. That was a good job by the true freshman.
Really good job of Daniel Bray fighting for extra yards, and then right tackle Spencer Fano able to get out on the perimeter, deliver a block. It's the second effort though by Bray that gets the 1st down for Utah.
And he's not a big guy. He's known for his speed, but he powered through that tackle and got the 1st down. Utes. Dampier keeps. Made one man miss. He's looking pretty spry here in the 1st quarter. But tackled for a gain of just a yard.
Give a lot of credit early on to this Kansas State defense. It is not easy to defend Jason Beck's offense. You're seeing it early. There's constantly jet sweeps. You got quarterbacks going the other way. Different personnel groupings. There's a lot of eye candy that's presented to a defense to try to force hesitation. But right now, defensive coordinator Joe Klanderman has his unit playing top-notch football.
Fake to Parker. Dampier takes a hit and incomplete. He had Davis open, but the pressure came on the quarterback to force the incompletion.
Just a step away from getting there, Ryan Davis was, but you're right, Flem. It's the pressure by Kansas State, and Asa Newsome. It's going to come right off the edge. That's Newsome, the outside linebacker. And that's what forces Devin Dampier to be a little bit inaccurate. And here we go again with a 3rd and 9. Can Kansas State force a field goal, get this ball back to their offense?
Dampier trying to scramble. Dampier is going down. Kansas State, and here come penalty flags in. Maybe a late hit on the quarterback. Kansas State, the penalties on this drive just are killing their chances. They've made some good plays, and
it's just unnecessary. 52 right there. Ryan Davis comes in with the late hit.
Personal foul, late hit with targeting. Defense number 52, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. The previous play is under further review.
I mean, if you're going to beat a really good Utah team, you have to start by not beating yourself. And right now, keep an eye at the top of your screen as 52 comes in. I mean, that is just way too easy for the officials. It's not a smart play. It's unnecessary. It's clear as day that Dampier's going down. And now the best pass rusher for Kansas State is more than likely going to be ejected for targeting.
I mean, he definitely launched. I think he's defenseless in that position, isn't he? I mean, I would think they would probably uphold that targeting. Play was clearly over.
And you just got to think that this is a Kansas State football team that's just frustrated with how their season's gone. This is a team that was supposed to contend for a Big 12 title this year. Instead, they're sitting at 5-5. But regardless, you got to play smarter football than that. That was just unnecessary by Ryan Davis.
They had the weird pass interference on 3rd and long that wasn't really a factor in the play at all, but gave Utah first down. They had the offsides on 3rd and long that made it 3rd and shorter, where Utah converted. Now this one, probably worst of all, just
After
inexplicable.
Review, the ruling on the field of targeting is upheld. Number 52 is disqualified.
Like, what are you doing? That one is just hard to explain.
No excuse for that. I would just assume Chris Kleiman is beside himself right now. I mean, we mentioned it. You're going to come in and create some sort of upset on the number 12 team in the country. You got to start by not beating yourself. And right now, that's exactly what Kansas State's doing in the first quarter.
So Davis, I mean, it's a first down. It's a 15-yard penalty, and he's out for the rest of the game, as you called him, their best pass rusher. Bird Ficklin is back in, and he's going to come into the backfield alongside Dampier. And it'll be Ficklin who fakes it to Dampier, and then the freshman quarterback. His first carry of the game, and more penalty flags as the play was finishing. As it stood, a gain of 3, maybe 4.
This might be a face mask call on Kansas State.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 20. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the run. Automatic first down. Number 4 can remain in the game because the helmet was involved with the penalty.
Ralph Ortiz committed the penalty.
It's just poor technique. You know, you've had some self-inflicted penalties, and then you've had poor technique penalties early by Kansas State.
This is one of the most mistake-filled drives I can ever remember for a defense. 45 yards of penalties on this drive alone, and that's going to lead to a touchdown. Bird Ficklin over the right side, the true freshman quarterback, with the first points of the game for the Utes. I'm kind of at a loss for words as to how that drive unfolded. Just one penalty after another against Kansas State, gifting Utah the field.
And that's not what Kansas State has done under Chris Kleiman. I've mentioned it earlier, one of the least penalized teams in the country. Very uncharacteristic of the Wildcats.
Extra point is up and good. And that ties the game.
Yeah, what an outstanding year Bird Ficklin has had. We talked to his head coach yesterday, said no situation has been too big for the true freshman. Great answer by Utah.
Beautiful time of year here in Utah. It is a little eerie to be here without snow up in the mountains. Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler, Stormy Bonatoni tie game 7-7 first quarter. Number 12 Utah and Kansas State. Devon Rice is going to watch it sail over his head, so that's a touchback as the Kansas State offense comes back on the field. An update in studio with Kevin Connors. That kid can play, man.
I'll tell you what, Malachi Lemon, what a year he's had.
So Avery Johnson and the K-State offense back on the field. Jackson is going to pitch it. A little reverse play with some speed out there. And another good play on the ground. That's Sterling Lockett all the way outside the 40 to the 43. A gain of 19.
Well, on the edge, Trey Reynolds, he's going to come from over here at 37. Just gets fooled with the reverse play. You're going to see him try to run down Jackson. Loses sight of the football. Allows for Moss to come back the other way. And right now, offensive coordinator Matt Wells, he's done some really good stuff to kind of control the tempo for Kansas State early on in this game.
That's 3 big plays on the ground for Kansas State already in this first quarter. Johnson back to pass on first down to the left sideline, shows off all that arm strength. He's got a lot of it. Finds his big tight end Garrett Oakley.
That's a really nice throw by Avery Johnson, on time and inside the pocket. That's something that Wildcat fans really wanted to see Johnson improve upon this year. I think he has. Last year he was a sub 60% completion quarterback. This year he's 60% plus. Great throw and catch by Garrett Oakley.
I enjoyed our conversation with Avery Johnson this week. He seems like a guy who's growing into the responsibility of being the quarterback in his home state with all the pressure that's been put on him over the last couple of years. He will hand it off. No, he kept it, and he gets dragged down on second and short. A big loss. And who else? John Henry Daly, who's been everywhere in the first quarter.
Henry Daly, excellent play off the edge, not taking the bait at all. Just comes flying off the edge. Fullback misses the block, but it's Henry Daly in his eyes. He keeps his eyes on the football the entire time. He knows Avery Johnson has the ball. And that's the play this Utah defense needed to get Rice-Eccles Stadium back in the ball game and this Kansas State offense off track.
From 2nd and 2 to 3rd and 8 after the loss of 6. And K-State's going to burn a timeout. Play clock was winding down, late out of the huddle, having a hard time hearing, and they'll use a timeout, their first of the first half. Get organized for this 3rd down play coming up. By the way, coming up at 7:30 Eastern, while we have a moment to remind you, final game of our SEC on ABC triple header, number 20 Tennessee going down to Gainesville, taking on Florida in the Swamp. You can catch all the action over on ABC and the all-new ESPN app. Plenty of intrigue around the Florida program these days. The SEC, it's never boring.
You think?
Winning, losing, never boring. Meanwhile here, a lot of good things for this Kansas State team. Big underdogs on the road, coming off an ugly win last week in Stillwater. They played much better, I think, overall in this first quarter, but now facing 3rd and 8.
With as much man-to-man as Utah plays, I think you need to lean on your individual matchups. Right now, I like Garrett Oakley in the slot for Kansas State.
Pressure comes. Johnson gets rid of it, took a hit, and the throw is caught. Tibbs with the catch across midfield. Man, Avery Johnson hung in there.
That was an unbelievable job of Avery Johnson, standing tall and strong in the pocket, keeping his eyes down the field. He knows he's going to take a big hit. Boy, that's not a good sign for Utah. Let's go back, see if this is a catch. Yep, 2 hands under the football. But Avery Johnson standing tall and strong. I mean, staring right down the barrel. I believe that's Benny that delivers the hit. Gets a full head of steam before he makes contact with the quarterback. That's a big league throw by Johnson.
And John Henry Daly, the guy down, you mentioned it, that is bad news. And you see there almost like a non-contact thing, and now not putting any pressure on his left leg as he comes off the field. That is not good.
You just hate to see that. This is a guy that's having a breakout season, someone that didn't get a lot of playing time a season ago. He has 9.5 sacks on the season, which is 7th best in the FBS. Hopefully he's able to go to the sideline and get back in the ball game later.
That would be a big loss. He has been their best player on the defensive side already. 4 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks in this game already. It's the first quarter.
Wow.
But he's on the sideline. Jackson in the K-State offense. Next is quarterback Avery Johnson. He switches sides. He'll get the carry and cuts it back, makes a man miss, out into the open again. Jackson inside the 20, another big gain on the ground. Smith Snowden finally tackles him. Now that goes for 33 more yards.
This is really impressive by the back right now, Joe Jackson and his offensive line. This is a football team coming into today's game. They've really struggled to run the football with any sort of consistency as of late, and especially to find explosive runs. Already the 3rd explosive run on the day for the Wildcats. Great effort by Jackson.
Runs of 47, 38, 18, 33. And Antonio Martin, who had that long touchdown run in the game. Johnson under center for first down inside the 15. Martin gets it, and he cuts inside with a nice move. Man, the running backs for Kansas State are making Utah tacklers miss. Jonathan Hall finally got him to the ground, but another nice run.
It's a really beautiful run by Antonio Martin Jr. I love how he's a one-cut back. He sees the hole, gets his foot in the ground, gets vertical. You can see the stats. Season 137 yards on the ground, already 121 today here on the road against a really good Utah defense.
They're averaging 13 yards a carry, Kansas State, in the first quarter. That's a wow. Martin stays in alongside Johnson. Extra tight ends on the left side. And they'll hand it off. No, a play fake. Going to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Oakley. What a catch by the tight end. And Kansas State goes back ahead. The offense is humming here on the road in the first quarter.
Garrett Oakley, he's been the go-to guy in the red zone this season for Kansas State, and rightfully so. 6'5", 250 pounds. He's a mismatch with very soft hands. Really like that play design by Matt Wells. And Kansas State, they're here to play today.
13th career touchdown for Oakley. Chris Kleiman, was he on the turf? Penalty flag thrown. He already got warned for being out on the field. So it's almost like, was Kleiman apologizing?
Receiver downfield. Offense number 56. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Wow. So the touchdown gets negated for the ineligible man downfield.
So if an offensive lineman goes more than 3 yards down the field, that's lane gang. When the quarterback releases the ball, keep an eye on where lane gang is. If he's more than 3 yards, it's an eligible man downfield. I mean, it's close. It's right on the cusp. But you can see why Chris Kleiman's upset, because he feels like it was a really close call. Usually officials kind of give benefit of the doubt to the offense. Not that time.
They already have more penalty yards in the first quarter than they've had in any game all year. And that takes points off the board. Now this play's going to be blown dead. Maybe against Utah.
Offside, defense, number 98. Half the distance to the goal, second down.
Alex Vakalahi.
Yeah, just inside, getting a little head start. You can see it looked like Avery Johnson might have been trying to work a hard count. You can see his head bobbing. That means he's using his voice as well as the clap, clearly getting the big defensive tackle inside to jump off sides.
So 2nd and 4, they can get a first down. Jackson back in the game. Johnson under center. They'll give it to Jackson. And and nowhere to go. He gets swallowed up at the 5, maybe got a yard.
Some of that's on us. They got to let us play a little bit. But I'm proud of our guys, man. We're trying to play big boy football here, being able to run the football at them and trying to make this a 4-quarter game. And our kids are ready to play today.
Thanks for this.
You bet.
All right, thanks, Stormy. Thanks, Chris. There's some big boy football for you. Touchdown, Avery Johnson. How about that? First play of the second quarter in Kansas State. Those points came off the board with the penalty. They put them right back on there on 3rd down.
I'll tell you what, Kansas State came to play today. Nobody in the country, when you looked at things this week, gave a 5-5 Kansas State football team any chance to come into Rice-Eccles Stadium today and pull off the upset. I know it's early, but this is a football team playing really good complementary football, both offense and defense right now.
So beautiful play design. Extra point up and good. And Kansas State is ahead 14-7. Their super athletic quarterback Avery Johnson takes it in.
And he put that athleticism on full display. If you account for the quarterback with the defensive end, he's going to make you pay. Utah played man-to-man. Nobody was accounting for the quarterback, just a basic read off that end. If the defensive end hesitates just for a second like Cash Dillon did, Avery Johnson's going to make you pay and get that football to the perimeter. He was pretty honest with us, and he wasn't really confident in his rushing attack coming into this environment against a top 10 defense. How were they going to come up with rushing yards? Well, how are they going to do it? They already have 127 on the ground today. Matt Wells is calling a fantastic game right now.
It's been the missing piece for Kansas State. They're so used to having a consistent ground game. That'll be a touchback. And before Utah's offense tries to respond, back to the studio with Kevin Connors. That feels like the most important game of the week in college football in terms of college football playoff implications. Penalty flag on the first play from scrimmage and a big run. This is Nate Johnson, not Wayshawn Parker, but Nate Johnson. We'll see what the flag is. As of now, it's a gain of 11. This game would have a lot of playoff implications if somehow Kansas State pulled off an upset.
There is no foul on the play for illegal substitution. The 12th man got to the sideline prior to the snap.
So why did we throw a penalty flag? This is probably a rhetorical question. First down, Utah.
You get the sense that this is a really big drive for Utah. The way Kansas State has come to play today, both offensively and defensively, Utah, they want to possess this football for a while and give their defense a breather.
Dampier turns, and that's not Dampier. That's Nate Johnson again taking the direct snap, and he'll go right side. Nate Johnson, who, what do you have, 18 carries all season coming in?
I love this. You're going to see a block come down from the perimeter, and then it's all the lead blocks that you get outside for Nate Johnson. I mean, this is just a wave of Utah players coming downhill at this Kansas State defense. Great scheme by Jason Beck.
Now Dampier is going to take the snap here and throw, and he threw it behind his receiver J.J. Buchanan, who almost made a one-handed catch. Incomplete.
Tell you what, Kansas State, this defense, they're dictating some things right now. They're putting pressure on this Utah offense. Devin Dampier, he's going to need to make those routine throws to stay on schedule on first and second down. He's been an accurate passer this year at 65% completion, just a bit behind his tight end.
Yeah, not today so far. 2 for 6 throwing the ball. He will give it left side, and that's Johnson again. They're making a point of getting Nate Johnson involved, and he's showing some stuff across midfield into K-State territory, gain of 8.
There's just so many talented offensive players for this Utah team. It doesn't matter if you're giving the ball to Nate Johnson, Daniel Bray, Nakari Rogers, Wayshawn Park. I mean, I could go on and on and on. You talk about both quarterbacks. There's just so many guys, and that's one of the things that makes it so difficult for a defense to defend. There's always fresh legs in the backfield for this offense.
Extra lineman on the left side. Parker is going to take the snap and run left, and Wayshawn Parker gets the Utah first down. Just too many big bodies over there. That's hard to stop.
Well, it's the big bodies along with all the eye candy that's presented. It's almost every single play you're seeing a shift and then some sort of jet motion. Whether they give that ball to the receiver or not, it causes hesitation at the linebacker and safety positions, and then you combine that with a mauling offensive line. That's why they're rushing for 278 yards per game.
Dampier, we're going to throw it again. This time he's got a man wide open out in the right flat. And a catch and run. Good enough for a first down. Is that Creed Whittemore? Welcome to the game, Creed.
I was going to say, we're seeing a few names and faces that haven't typically been out there for this offense this year. Great job by Whittemore taking advantage of the one-on-one matchup outside.
He's got a chance to be a good player here. Sophomore from Gainesville, Florida. Transfer from the SEC. Parker, big hole, straight ahead and inside the 25. Starting to cash Kansas State on the ground now, gain of 6.
Well, and it's also the tempo that Utah is playing with. Okay, so they're getting the pass game going from the pocket. They're rolling the quarterback out. Then there's the jet sweeps. Then there's the downhill stuff. Just so many things coming at you if you're a defender, and combine that with tempo, it's really tough to stop.
Dampier, play fake, over the top, and incomplete. He had Buchanan wide open, and the pressure forced the incompletion, and now he's slow to get up.
Tell you what, Cobbs is making some plays for this defense today. He's going to come on a corner blitz, and that's why Dampier is not able to hit the open tight end down the field. See the pressure off the edge. And Cobbs played in a reserve role the majority of the year, but he's really making the most of his opportunities today.
I think that the hard part about that hit, Dampier's head almost snapped back onto the turf. He hit the ground hard. Now a left side run, and that's good enough for a Utah first down. So 3rd and 4, they just play some power football to get the first down.
And power football at its finest. That offensive line, I tell you what, they are just dictating this football game right now with their strength and power. Watch how they're just moving that Kansas State defensive front.
So now a stoppage. They acted like somebody was hurt, but I didn't see an injured player. So whoever it was got off the field quickly. Wesley Fair, I think, was the guy who got dinged up for Kansas State. So they may not stop this for a full injury timeout. Kansas State, big underdogs on the road, leading 14-7, second quarter. But Utah's powerful ground offense on the move here. Dampier and Bird Ficklin, those two quarterbacks who both have played so well. We haven't seen as much of Bird in this first half.
And not only playing well, and you're right, Bird's been out there a little bit, not as much as we're used to seeing, but I think the unique thing about those two, both being quarterbacks, they're also best friends off the field, and they have a great relationship, and I think it just says a lot about the selflessness of Devin Dampier to take that young true freshman quarterback under his wing.
They taking Dampier to the sidelines. Well, we showed that play a couple plays ago where he kind of smashed back into the turf. You wonder if that's what's going on. So his best friend is going to have to take the field here, it looks like. Well, Bird Ficklin, who's really a cool story, under-recruited guy, actually was recruited but not offered by Kansas State, has been spectacular when Utah's given him chances.
He really has. He's to me, the thing that's most impressive, he's not operating like an 18-year-old true freshman. The lights haven't been too bright. No moment's been too big. And last week he set a quarterback program record on the road with 166 rushing yards.
He has a rushing touchdown already today. He's going to carry it just in the game. And Bird Ficklin inside the 10, down to the 5 or close to it. Every time he touches the ball, something good happens, it seems.
I was going to say, he's just a special football player. To be a true freshman and make plays like this, watch the vision, watch the cut. It's also the strength. He had a 70-plus yard touchdown run a week ago where he delivered a stiff arm. This kid's special.
There he goes again. Ficklin, end zone touchdown. Well, he's only played a handful of snaps in this first half. He's got both of the Utah touchdowns. That one from 6 yards out. There may not be a program in the country that has two guys who are playing at such a high level at the quarterback position like the Utah Utes.
That is a good problem to have if you're a head coach.
No kidding.
Which talented quarterback do I want to play? Devin Dampier, Bird Ficklin. And I think the most impressive thing about the two of them, neither one cares. They just want to see their team have success and win ball games. And two very talented players.
Well, the ground game on both sides has been impressive in this first half. This time, the true freshman QB.
Well, second touchdown, but he got a couple great blocks. One by Wayshawn Parker and his left guard, Togia.
Utah up to number 12 in those most recent college football playoff rankings. Figure they got to get to 10, maybe 9. And then they've got a real, I mean, they have an argument now of being one of the best 10 teams in the country.
They definitely need a little bit of help, but they better start with winning today, because right now they have their hands full with the Kansas State Wildcats.
It all goes away if they don't get a win here today. Let's go down on the field to Stormy.
Well, right before the Utah touchdown, we saw starting quarterback Devin Dampier have to enter the injury tent. He was in there and evaluated very briefly before coming back out and sitting right back on the bench next to Bird. No one took his helmet, so it looks like he's okay. And Brock, you mentioned earlier how close these two are. It would be so easy for a veteran quarterback who's dealt with some injury issues to give the cold shoulder to a young quarterback who's playing so well. Ficklin said what makes it work with them is that he knows his role and Devin knows he's QB1. They are so close, they talk through everything.
Well, no doubt about it, Stormy. That is a very special and rare relationship for two quarterbacks.
Not just like supportive of one another or helpful or friends. Like literally, they both say we are best friends with one another.
Yeah, to the point where it was great hearing from both of them this week. If they're not around each other, I guess they FaceTime up to 5 times a day. Like, it's just, they're constantly with each other, and just two great teammates.
On 2nd down and 4, handoff, and Jackson stops short, so it's going to be 3rd and 2 here. For this Kansas State offense has been really impressive. They scored 14 last week in the whole game against a struggling Oklahoma State team. Been much better today, but this is a big play.
Oh, huge play here, but this is exactly where Kansas State wants to be on 3rd down. When you're 3rd and 3 or less, that means Avery Johnson has the ability to keep the football and use his legs in 3rd and short. Don't be surprised if you see some sort of design QB run.
And this is where Kansas State staying in the huddle very late, then to the line quickly. Part of their strategy maybe here on the road. Johnson keeps it. Johnson straight ahead and with some strength. He got the first down to look well. One of it. No. Wow, spotted short. Man, he looked to me like he got it easily. And maybe the knee was down.
I don't know if that's a great spot by the officials. We'll see here on this replay. I sure thought from up here it was a 1st down.
Wow.
Where is the football when his knee first touches the turf? If I'm Chris Kleiman, this is one I might want to look at upstairs.
Now that looked like a really tough spot for Kansas State. They're going for it anyway, and now whistles, and I think they are.
The previous play is under further review to see if the runner gained the line's gain.
All right, so they're going to look at it. We'll step aside. We'll give you one. Where's the ball? Looked like a 1st down. We'll see. 4th down in their own territory. Johnson, handoff, and they'll get the 1st down and more. Jackson, there he goes. Nobody's going to catch him. Joe Jackson, touchdown, Kansas State. 66 yards. And in a weird way, the call that went against him, I think, helps him.
Well, listen, when you're playing a Morgan Scalley defense, you know in these situations it's going to be an all-out pressure. Watch how everyone is up here. It's man-to-man outside. So if a running back can break through that first level, there's no one there to make the tackle. Excellent job by the offensive line and tight ends to secure that line of scrimmage. And then Joe Jackson does the rest.
They have 196 rushing yards already with 9 minutes to go in the first half. Extra point here is up and good. And the point I was making, if it's 1st down, you don't have that kind of defense that you're describing. They didn't get the call, and this is what the result was.
That's right. Matt Wells has found a chink in this great Utah defense's armor. Right now, Kayla
Wells, the daughter of Matt Wells, K-State's offensive coordinator, is a student here. She's in that mix somewhere. 21-14. Wells and the Wildcats back ahead.
Well, Jackson's going to get the credit for the touchdown, but I need you to see these blocks up front, and then tight end Swanson, and then really it's the pull by Vass. It's really those three parts. You have Pastore, Vass, and Swanson just do an excellent job of securing level one. I mean, not a finger gets laid on Joe Jackson once he breaks through that line. Great job up front by that offensive line and tight end.
They are fired up. Look at Vass. he's feisty on the sidelines. Ficklin, the quarterback again. The jet sweep fake. And Bray took a hit, and then Ficklin got maybe back to the line of scrimmage on first down.
This defense has done such a great job today of just doing their 1/11th. What do I mean by that? Every individual on that field is just doing their job. No one's trying to be a hero. They're staying in their lanes. They're staying eye disciplined, and that's why this Utah run game hasn't exploded like it has the past month.
Play fake. Dampier back in, and that throw was off target. He had a man wide open, Bentley, the tight end, and missed him.
Just another off-target throw, and we've seen a couple of those out of Devin Dampier today, and that's something that he has not done this year. He's been a very accurate passer, 65% completions on the season. He's 11th in the country when it comes to total QBR. But like I said, he's had a couple errant throws this afternoon.
That's pitch and catch stuff there. He's 3 for 9, Dampier is. So now 3rd down and 9. The K-State defense has a chance to get a stop. Pressure picked up. Dampier's going over the top left side, and the pass is caught. What a catch and what a pass. J.J. Buchanan, the young tight end. So Dampier much better that time for the big play.
What a throw. What a catch. J.J. Buchanan. He's a tight end, 6'3", 225 pounds. He's matched up on a cornerback. Once again, that is a tight end that looks like a wide receiver running down the field. But how about that throw by Devin Dampier just when the Kansas State defense was challenging the quarterback? It was man-to-man coverage across the board. They brought pressure. They said, hey, beat us with your arm. You've been inaccurate today. Dampier delivers a beauty down the field.
And the true freshman tight end from Las Vegas with the 60-yard reception. There was a penalty on the play against K-State, declined, so they keep the long play, and back inside the 15. Direct snap to Parker, and he gets swallowed up. Maybe got to the line of scrimmage. Travis Bates made the play. Kansas State playing without Ryan Davis, maybe their best defensive end pass rusher. Targeting, got ejected from the game fairly early in the first quarter.
Well, that's a huge loss for a defense. And then when you add the fact that leading tackler Austin Romaine, the great linebacker, is also out of the game, makes this defensive performance even more impressive right now.
Good throw from Dampier that time to Whittemore, who's been involved in the offense in this first half. And that shoved out of bounds inside the 10 to set up 3rd down.
Well, Utah has been one of the best red zone offenses in the entire country this year. They're scoring touchdowns at 80% a clip. So if you're defensive coordinator Joe Klanderman, what can you come up with here on 3rd down to force a field goal by the Utes?
The Utes do not like to kick field goals.
They sure don't.
They do not want to do it. Bird Ficklin is in the game, but he's out as a wide receiver on the left side. Dampier takes the snap, bounces it right, turns the corner. Dampier, pylon, touchdown, Utah. The 3rd quarterback run for a touchdown for Utah in the first half, but the first one for Devin Dampier.
Let's make sure he got in. Great individual effort. Oh yeah, easy touchdown. And it just makes it even more impressive because the Kansas State defense was in position to make a play. Nobody was out of position on that 3rd and 4. But it's the individual effort by Devin Dampier, the vision, the speed, and athleticism. What a play.
Extra point is up and good. So Bert Ficklin has 2 rushing touchdowns, and now his very best friend in the whole wide world has one.
Two-headed monster at the quarterback position. I mean, you see all those white jerseys. The gap integrity is exactly where it needs to be, but it's just the athleticism of Dampier and the want to go make a big-time play for his offense to tie up this ball game. Just so impressive.
These Utah quarterbacks truly are extra running backs. That's how good they are, both of them, in the ground game. What a first half.
Yeah, and then it just so happens that those quarterbacks slash running backs can also throw dimes down the field 40 yards. And now you're seeing why in the last month of football this Utah offense has led the nation with 51 points per game. They're just so explosive.
Last week they went to Waco. Now Baylor is a team coming into the year expected to be a contender in the Big 12 Conference. Utah went to Baylor and rushed for 380 yards.
Yeah, and Bert Ficklin, he was 166 of those. Set a school record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game. And whether it's Dampier, whether it's Ficklin, Wayshawn Parker, it doesn't matter. This offense can score anytime and from anywhere.
Back and forth we go. We still have 6:51 to go in the first half, and it's 21-21. With more than 400 yards of offense on both sides. How about time for our Never Settle, brought to you by State Farm.
Well, how about this Wildcat rushing game today? This has really been an area of worry for this football team this year, but not today. 196 rushing yards already here today in the first half. It doesn't matter if it's Johnson, it doesn't matter if it's Joe Jackson or Antonio Martin. All 3 of them have been big-time contributors. I think you need to give a ton of credit to the tight ends and offensive line because right now they are opening up gaping holes.
Runs for 47 yards, 37 yards, 33 yards, 66 yards. Jackson gets it again, hits the hole, and gets dragged down close to the 30-yard line on the first play of this drive, after Chris Kleiman said to us, you know, the missing piece for us has been no explosion in the run game.
Yeah, well, I would say Matt Wells figured that out today. You can see that explosiveness. And remember, this is an offense a week ago that went on the road to an Oklahoma State team that's really struggling. And their first 4 possessions of the game were all punts. Certainly not the case today for Kansas State.
Defensive player Jackson Benny, who's been a really good performer on the defensive side, already missing John Henry Daly. Now Benny goes to the sidelines. Well, Utah's defense getting a little beat up here. That sort of late break out of the huddle. Johnson takes a snap, throws middle, and off the hands of his tight end. That's Will Ancio.
You know, Dave, you've talked about the late break out of the huddle for Kansas State a couple times now today. The reason why they're doing that is they don't want to give defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley time to try to evaluate what this Kansas State offense is trying to do and then make adjustments. So I love what Matt Wells is doing. He keeps his offense in the huddle, late break, so this Utah defense cannot make adjustments.
Utah's defense trying to make adjustments right now on 3rd down and 5. Johnson in the pocket. He'll throw, and it's incomplete, but the penalty flag is thrown, trying to hit his tight end Oakley, who almost got clotheslined as the ball was on the way.
It's going to be on Teo Johnson trying to cover the big tight end, and man coverage, just poor technique, gets out of position and puts a hand out.
Pass interference, defense number 5. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, automatic first down.
Like I said, Teo Johnson, he knows he's beat early in the down, so rather than giving up a big play, he's just going to grab and hold the tight end real quick. Some might call that a heads-up play, just so you don't give up a bigger one.
I think that would qualify. So 1st down, Kansas State. From the 35, Martin empties the backfield. Avery Johnson is going to take off. Johnson with that great speed. Another big run for Kansas State. There he goes. Johnson inside the 10. Finally shoved out of bounds. Well, the Utah fans are just stunned.
Well, Avery Johnson can be deadly with his legs. You're going to see him motion. What does that leave? It's going to leave one defender in the box. The offensive line does a great job of getting up to the linebacker. And Avery Johnson, he is just too fast. If he gets out in open space, he's going to make you pay.
Wow. 58 more yards on the ground. They are destroying this excellent Utah defense with the ground game.
Now remember, Garrett Oakley, he's been the go-to target in the red zone for Kansas State this season.
Under center, Johnson hands it off. Martin straight ahead and got a yard, maybe 2 on 1st and goal. It's sort of hard to. Johnson catching his breath with a little smile on his face. That was a long run for the quarterback. They already have. It's the first half with 5 minutes to go.
Unbelievable.
They have 261 rush yards.
This is what the Utah offense has been doing to opponents lately. Kansas State really struggling to rush the football as of late, but today putting on an absolute clinic.
All the tight ends in motion. Pistol formation, play fake. Johnson now scrambling, throws across his body, and wow, incomplete and almost intercepted. Jackson Benny got back on the field and made a nice play.
Good play by Benny. I thought he got away with a little bit of contact early in the down, trying to cover the big tight end. But excellent job fighting back late in the down, getting a hand on the football, and almost made a big time interception.
So now it's 3rd and goal.
Got sure this football stays in Avery Johnson's hands.
That's that tight end on the left side. Johnson looking right and incomplete. Little slant pattern trying to hit Lincoln Cure. A very talented young tight end. It's 4th and goal, and it looks like the field goal team's coming out.
Boy, I thought that was a pretty good throw by Avery Johnson, giving his true freshman tight end a chance to make a play. Good coverage outside, and what a stop by Utah to hold Kansas State to a field goal here.
Yeah, good camera shot there of Chris Kleiman. He was ticked off that they didn't punch that one in. In a game like this, touchdowns very valuable. Luis Rodriguez going to try to put 3 on the board. Short field goal, just 22 yards, is up and good. So the Wildcats do march down the field. Another big play on the ground, and they take the lead back. So 24-21 Kansas State. Let's go down for an injury update with Stormy.
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned earlier John Henry Daly not in the game. He was flying around earlier, had 2 sacks. When he had to leave the field earlier, never a good sign when you're having to be helped off and already having the boot on in the field. So unfortunately, to see one of their best players unavailable, as we see K-State continuing to put points up on the board.
I mean, he was everywhere in the first quarter. He's having just an All-American kind of season. And yeah, the shot of him being helped back to the locker room with that boot on the left foot, not good.
You just hate to see it. Breakout season for Henry Daly. 11.5 sacks on the year after his 2 today. And he's a semifinalist for the Chuck Bednarik Award, which goes to the most outstanding defensive player in the country. That's how impactful he's been for this defense this year. You hope he's able to get back out there relatively soon.
Meanwhile, just I mean, really a fascinating first half here, and not at all the way that anybody would have figured this one would play out. Daniel Bray back to receive, hoping for an opportunity. Instead, it's a touchback. Well, Brock mentioned the possibility of an award, our college football award spotlight, brought to you by the Home Depot.
Freshman, and more than likely he is going to be the first offensive line taken in the upcoming NFL draft.
That Home Depot College Football Awards show on Friday, December 12th, 7 Eastern on ESPN. Utah's offense back on the field, and here we go again. Man, both offenses right now are rushing the ball beautifully. 12 yards for Dampier.
You're starting to get the sense that defense isn't even out there on the field. It's like an offense playing against air, but you just need to give so much credit to the offensive line, the blocking on the perimeter by the receivers and tight ends. I mean, I don't think anyone laid a hand on Dampier until he was 10 yards down the field.
In the pocket, going to throw on first down. He'll throw incomplete. Trying to hit that tight end again.
That's really been the only thing that has slowed down this Utah offense today. It's been some inaccuracies, a little bit of miscommunication from inside the pocket for Devin Dampier, but outside of that, it's been nearly flawless for Utah in the first half.
Yeah, Dampier's 5 of 12 throwing the ball. This time running and then throwing, and a perfect delivery to J.J. Buchanan, who's having a big first half. First down, Utes.
Well, this is just really cool play design by Jason Beck. You're going to get the quarterback outside the pocket, and watch what that does to the linebackers. It gets all them to step up, and then that's how you're able to get the football behind their ears. Just watch how these backers step up. I mean, so it makes it so difficult on a defense to be right.
They run an option play. I mean, they have so many different looks in this offense. They run option, they run sweep game, they run quarterback draw.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. There's so many things presented to a defense. So how do you want to defend it? It's just so difficult to be right. I mean, go back to the play I just drew up. If you don't commit as a linebacker, well, Dampier's going to run it for 6, 7, 8 yards. If you do commit, now you can't be right because he's throwing it behind your head.
Second down and 4. Play fake. Dampier looking middle, now scrambling. Dampier is going to run and go out of bounds. Short of the first down. Interesting part of the half here with 3 minutes and 4 seconds to go. I mean, Utah wants points, however they can get them, and maybe a Kansas State player down on that far sideline, by the way. Malcolm Alcorn Crowder, slow to get up, defensive lineman. Good to see him actually get up. Not feeling great, though. The junior from Brockton, Massachusetts.
Good player, someone that's been getting more playing time as of late. Every single time he steps foot on the field, just gets better and better. When you talk about injuries, this is just a defense that's been decimated. Ryan Davis knocked out of the game in the first half for targeting. We mentioned Austin Romaine, the leading tackler at linebacker. He's out. Had some issues in the secondary. So they're thin right now.
Well, hopefully Malcolm's all right. 3rd and 4 coming up here for Utah.
And how critical is this? Because if you're Utah and you don't pick up this first down, now you're giving Kansas State an opportunity with plenty of time before half to go get more points. This is critical, and I would not be surprised if this is 4-down territory with Utah the way they're running the football today.
I would not be either. Both quarterbacks are in the game now. Ficklin and Dampier. Dampier comes in motion. Ficklin takes the snap. Ficklin with the run. First down, Utah and more. Man, is he hard to tackle. Bird Ficklin, just a true freshman from Muskogee, Oklahoma, and another excellent run, 12 yards on the ground.
18 years old and 200 pounds, but I tell you what, he's running like he's 22 years old and 220 pounds. Just a physical runner inside the tackles. There's nothing this young quarterback can't do.
The only guy who came close to stopping him was his own offensive tackle, big Caleb Lomu, who then kind of redirected and said, no, go this way.
You see Utah starting to slow things down. They don't want to give Kansas State this football back before half.
I think it's the right way to play it. Ficklin still in the game, fakes a run, looking to throw, slings it out, incomplete. Intended for Buchanan, true freshman to true freshman, but it'll be second down.
Good decision by Ficklin. Good coverage down the field by K-State. No reason to force the football in plus territory.
It does stop the clock. We have the 2-minute timeout, presumably after this next play. K-State has 1 timeout remaining. Leading by 3 in a very entertaining back and forth first half in Salt Lake City. Ficklin off the field. Dampier back in. He'll hand it to Parker straight ahead, and Parker with a power run took a big hit. And that is now the 2-minute timeout after a short gain. So 2-minute drill for Utah, down 3 when we come back.
That's the 2-minute timeout. Timer, please reset the game clock to 1:59. 1:59.
mishaps on the ground. They lead by 3 out of the 2-minute timeout. 3rd down for Utah. Pass behind the receiver Whittemore, and now penalty flags thrown in. He made a nice move to first of all catch it and then turn upfield and get a 1st down. And we'll see if those penalties are against Kansas State. I don't know, maybe not.
I think it's going to be on J.J. Buchanan. Outside offensive
Pass interference. Offense number 81, 15-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Just like I thought, it's the true freshman tight end. And I get it, you're trying to create a man rub. He's going to work right here, and then you get the route underneath. But watch the contact down the field. Anytime you put your hands into a defender's chest, that's just going to signal to an official that you're blocking. You're not actually running a route. You might, if you're a Utah fan, think it's a little ticky-tack, but Buchanan needs to use better technique there and just run the defensive back off.
That's a big penalty. Instead of a 1st down, it's 3rd and 22, maybe out of field goal range. Dampier across the middle, incomplete. He threw it behind Dallin Bentley, the tight end. What a sequence that was. I mean, now 4th and 22.
It's massive. And now Kansas State gets the football back. 1 timeout in their back pocket. Plenty of time to go get points. And if you're Kyle Whittingham and this Utah fan base, you're just sitting here saying, what is going on? I thought we were playing a Kansas State team that's 5-5.
5-5, down and out, coming off an uninspiring performance last week. And yet here they are on the road against number 12 Utah. And getting the ball back with a chance to add on. And the punter, that wasn't great execution. Orion Phillips just booted it right into the end zone. And Kansas State will start at the 20.
Well, this was a run game coming into this game today that really didn't have many explosive runs. And Joe Jackson and the offensive line for Kansas State certainly changed that on the 2nd possession here today. You see the explosive run. And then later on, there's a 4th and short. Kansas State decides to go for it. Utah brings an all-out blitz. Offensive line tight ends do an excellent job of securing the line of scrimmage. And Joe Jackson just needs to go hit his head off the field goal post because the blocking is so good. Not a single finger laid on him. An excellent day today. But how about that? Averaging over 18.5 yards per carry.
The Kansas State head coach, Chris Kleiman, literally told us this week, we can't find an explosive run game. We can't find it.
Well, they certainly found it today. And the other thing he said to us is he felt like last week against Oklahoma State they were playing to not lose the game. He wanted his team to cut it loose today, and that is certainly what they have done.
Averaging 15 yards a rush. They're getting more here. Jackson out into the open. What a cut to midfield. Jackson to the 30, to the 20. Touchdown, Kansas State. 80 yards this time. Incredible. They've done it again. 341 rush yards. It's not halftime.
Utah fans are in shock. They cannot believe what they are seeing here today at Rice-Eccles Stadium. But Joe Jackson just putting on a career day. 9 carries, 229 yards. Unbelievable.
I mean, this incredible fan base. Some boos were raining down at the end of that run. I think before Jackson even got in the end zone. Extra point up and good. Well, there's your 2-minute offense for Kansas State. 1 play, 80 yards.
Yeah, how about that? Just keep it on the ground. This is not what we're used to seeing out of a Morgan Scalley defense. Watch how the defensive end gets so far upfield, and then the backer hangs inside. So when a defensive end allows this much space on the edge, and your eyes as a linebacker go inside, you can see why there's such a big gaping hole for Kansas State and Joe Jackson. He makes 1 great cut in the open field. The rest is history.
I mean, more boos. I can't remember the last time I really heard that. It's been a long time here at Rice-Eccles. Incredible.
You would think Kansas State is the football team ranked number 12 in the country, trying to get a college football playoff bid. Avery Johnson just loving what his offense is doing, and you need to give them all credit. I mean, this is really impressive. One of the hardest stadiums west of the Mississippi to play in as an opposing team, and they have silenced the crowd today.
We have a long way to go in this game. I mean, Utah is only down 10. It's still the first half. 1:17 to go until halftime. But this is absolutely stunning.
It really is. And the only negative thing, if you really want to search for it for Kansas State, it's the fact that you're giving Utah a minute 17 to go get some of those points. And remember, Utah gets the football to start the third quarter. So if you're Utah, no panic, one play at a time, you're in this football game.
Touchback. They'll start at the 25 with 1:17 on the clock and all 3 timeouts. Tuesday night on ESPN, the all-new ESPN app, we've got the exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings. Reese and the guys will break it all down top to bottom. Interview with the committee chairman, project the 12-team field. That's Tuesday, 7 Eastern. Kansas State fans bundled up here in the Wasatch Mountains watching their team put on a show. Now a little slant pass and caught by Whittemore. First down Utah. That'll stop the clock momentarily outside the 35.
Really good start to the drive for Utah. As a quarterback, you always want to have a positive first play on your 2-minute drive. No need to be in a hurry. You have 3 timeouts.
First down again. Dampier in the pocket. Now he's going to throw incomplete. That'll stop the clock.
It's a really good play by Dampier just to get rid of that football. Pocket's starting to break down. You don't want to take a sack and lose precious field position, have to burn a timeout. Now, if you're Dampier, you have to keep in mind, as much as you want a touchdown on this drive, your field goal kicker, Dylan Curtis, he's got a big-time leg. So if you can just get to the 40-yard line, you're going to have a chance for points before half.
2nd and 10, Utah. Dampier throws that one, and another turn upfield by Whittemore, who's been really involved in the pass game. First down Utah.
That's a great job at Dampier recognizing the soft coverage to the boundary. It makes it an easy throw, and if Kansas State's going to give that much free access, take it all day.
That's 11 more yards. Clock stopped. Now it winds again. Dampier airmails that one out of bounds. Trying to hit Whittemore again.
I think Joe Klanderman had enough of giving free access to the Utah wide receivers, elected to play a little bit of cover 2 on that last play, which means you're going to press your corner, you're going to put a safety over the top, and Dampier wasn't able to get a completion.
Oh, shot of Dylan Curtis there, the career-long 54, but Brock's right. I mean, he's got the leg for even longer than that. Little pitch play to Parker, who's trying to get out of bounds, kind of dove that way, and he did. So that saves a timeout. Now, he did not get a first down, but he dives out of bounds. Utah doesn't need the first down. 42 seconds on the clock.
It's a great effort by Parker. You're just on the doorstep of field goal range, about 7 yards away, but more importantly, at 3rd and 4, you want to keep this drive alive. Whittemore's kind of been the go-to target this drive. He's at the bottom of your screen.
3rd down. Dampier looking to throw. Now scrambling. Dampier can't get away. Kansas State sacks him back behind midfield. So 4th down coming up. And Kansas State, the clock is stopping here.
Kansas State has called their 3rd and final time.
Well, the defensive line is going to get credit for the sack, but I just want you to see where's Dampier supposed to go with this football? Covered, 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 covered. Just nowhere to go. Great job by the Kansas State secondary. The defensive line able to get to the quarterback.
And it was Chris Kleiman called the timeout, which is interesting. Their final timeout.
You know, I don't hate it. In this situation, what do you have to lose? You're 5-5. Don't be surprised if Kansas State brings an all-out block here, trying to create some sort of, you know, big-time play late with 29 seconds and get some more points before half.
And I think the reason you call the timeout there really is, if you don't, Utah just lets the clock wind down, maybe calls timeout with a few seconds left, throws a Hail Mary. Here with 29 seconds, if you do that and don't get it, you give K-State the ball in midfield. So you basically force the punt instead of a Hail Mary.
Really good point, Dave. Really good point.
Took me a minute to figure it out, but I got there.
Great teamwork.
K-State showing a little pressure on the punt, and they do pressure that punt. That one's going to go out of bounds at about the 5-yard line. It's a good execution there. 22 seconds left to go in the first half, and really a very surprising half. If they lose, their chances are over with a capital O.
Yeah.
If they win, I mean, they need some help, but Utah is in a position where they have a real true chance to get to that college football playoff. With a loss, though,
yeah, it's night-night if you lose this football game today to Kansas State. And remember, I mean, this is a Utah football team under Kyle Whittingham that came into the season with Big 12 championship aspirations, and that's a bit of a reach at this point. Once again, they need some help if they're going to play in Arlington. But eyes are set on the college football playoff, but you need to handle business today. And right now, Kansas State has you on the ropes.
Final seconds of the first half. Avery Johnson is going to hand it off to Jackson. And Jackson, everybody in this stadium is holding their breath when he touches the ball. Most rushing yards for any player in a single half in college football, all by 10. So K-State will kick it off deep, and Utah's going to have the ball to start the second half. Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler back with you here. Look, I know Utah's offense is coming on the field. Brock, I have to imagine in that Utes locker room, the discussion was about the defense.
No question. What's your answer? Kyle Whittingham, Morgan Scalley, what are you going to do to slow down this Kansas State offense in the second half? They nearly put up 400 yards of total offense. But remember, 348 of that came on the ground. So there's no secret to what Kansas State wants to do this afternoon. What's your answer, Utah?
Meanwhile, the Utes offense with Dampier giving it to Parker, who cuts it to the left side and gets all the way out to midfield. So a great first play to start the second half from what might be a motivated Utah team here.
Well, what's the answer? It might be just get in a good old-fashioned track meet and see who can score the most points. Wayshawn Parker running tough here in the second half.
Not the game that I expected, or probably most people expected. Dampier, all kinds of time, heaves it downfield, incomplete. Man, he had forever in the pocket. Whittemore, the intended receiver.
Great job by that Utah offensive line to give Dampier time. He created a little bit with his legs to create some space and time to push that football down the field. And just a little bit outside the stretch of Whittemore, who's played a really nice first half, and I wonder if some of that has to do with Ryan Davis not being in the game.
Yeah, something's going on with the top Utah receiver. Handoff, Parker bounces it left, cuts middle, tries to leap over the would-be tackler VJ Payne, and gets the first down.
Wow. Is Wayshawn Parker not exciting to watch the football? What an addition to this Utes team, coming over from Washington State, just a sophomore. But boy, has he been excellent in the backfield this year. As of late, in the last 3 games, he's gone over for 100+.
It wasn't hurdles, it was like steeplechase. Parker for 12 now, in stride, caught, touchdown, Bentley. And the Utes come roaring out of the locker room to start the second half with a quick strike touchdown drive. That one from 38 yards out.
Well, you're going to see play action initially in the backfield, and then watch what that does to the defenders. They get their eyes in the backfield, and that's why Bentley goes up the sidelines without a defender anywhere around him. Kansas State, they've done such a great job all game being disciplined with their eyes, doing their 111th, but that time they get their eyes caught in the backfield, and Dampier makes them pay.
Extra point is up and good. Well, the playoff hopes for Utah are on the line, and this group has been playing so well. Did not have the first half they wanted. They come out to start the second half and make a statement. Game, and we've got a long way to go. Only a minute plus into the second half, and it's 31-28 Kansas State. They'll get the ball for the first time in this half after a touchback. Well, let's go down to Stormy Bonatoni.
Well, and you know, Kansas State head coach Chris Kleiman didn't love that start because he told me at the break discipline defensively was going to be crucial because Utah is just one explosive play away on any given down. When I talked to him about his offense, though, I said, what has gotten into your run game? He said, you know, this is something we thought we could do. Other teams hadn't committed to running the football against them, bringing in some different gap schemes they hadn't seen. And he said, there's still some run game he thinks they could get to. Joe Jackson with 236 in the first half We might be on record watch, the most for a Kansas State player in a single game, 292, Darren Sproles in 2004.
We are definitely on record watch. He's already got the all-time stadium record for rushing yards in a game, and the first play for K-State, the pressure came and Avery Johnson had to throw it away.
Well, the big question here in the second half is what adjustments does Morgan Scalley make to his defense? We all know this Utah football team defensively loves to play a lot of man-to-man coverage. Well, when you get that, your eyes are on your man. So I'll be interested to see here if Morgan Scalley elects to play more zone coverage so you can get more defenders with eyes in the backfield here in the second half.
Tight end came in motion, almost became a fullback, and they hand the ball off. And another positive run for Jackson. Found a small crease and got through for a gain of 5.
Tell you what, this offensive line for Kansas State today, I am just so impressed. 79, Devin Vass, and the rest of the big fellas up front, they've been terrific. And for Utah, Rice-Eccles Stadium is starting to come alive. They know what's at stake, trying to make the college football playoff. Can they get off the field here on 3rd and 5?
It's not been a great third down offense all year for K-State. Johnson trying to make an adjustment to the play. Play clock winding down. They get it snapped. Avery Johnson in the pocket. Johnson will throw, and it's knocked down. Incomplete. Jonathan Hall got a hand on it, and the Utes force a 3 and out to start the second half.
Nice job by Jonathan Hall reading the quarterback's eyes. Utah comes out and plays zone coverage on 3rd down, which they don't do a lot of. Offensive line gives Avery Johnson time to throw the football, but you see Hall does a great job. Eyes on Johnson in the backfield when he goes to throw, gets a hand up on the ball, and that's the stop that this Utah defense desperately needed.
Kind of a line drive sort of punt, and a fair catch running up at the 35-yard line. First punt for Kansas State since the first possession of Bulls. Now a little jet sweep on the first play of this drive, and Daniel Bray bounces it left side. So the Utah offense, some big plays here early in the second half. Across midfield, a gain of 19.
Well, speaking of electric players, but he also gets some help. Keep an eye on left tackle 71. You're going to see him pull Caleb Lomu. Excellent block on 28. And then Daniel Bray, the speedster, someone who's really come along as the season has. He's a true freshman. Didn't get a lot of playing time earlier. Kyle Whittingham said he needed to grow. He needed to develop. But as of the last month, he's been terrific.
He's big time. Dampier throws it behind his receiver, J.J. Buchanan. There's been a lot of that in this game.
Just off today. And we've said it a couple times. Devin Dampier coming into the ball game. It's been a 65% passer, but just hasn't been accurate here today from the pocket.
Second down and 10, Utah started to turn the momentum of this game. I remember at the end of the first half, they kind of got booed off the field going to the locker room. Now down just 3 with the ball. This one right on target in the turn upfield. Well into Kansas State territory, inside the 35, down to the 30. Nate Johnson, who's made some plays today, 16 yards.
What a timely play call by Jason Beck to do a screen. Kansas State's going to bring pressure. That leaves only 2 defenders on the outside to make a tackle. Perfect play call by Jason Beck here on this drive.
Utah on the move again. Dampier in the shotgun, handoff left side, and Johnson gets tackled across the line of scrimmage by Travis Bates for a short gain. Utah going a little quicker tempo here. Already their second possession of the second half. First time they had it, they took a minute and a few extra seconds and got in the end zone. This throw, and that one right there to the tight end, Bentley. First down inside the K-State 15.
Really good throw by Devin Dampier, in rhythm, taking what the defense gives him. He recognizes very quickly Kansas State's playing a zone defense, gets that football out of his hand, taking advantage of the soft spot in the zone.
13 more yards through the air for Utah. On first down, handoff straight ahead and to the 10. Nakari Rogers gets the carry for a gain of 4 on first down. Utah's using a lot of different players on the offensive side. Bray, Rogers, Johnson, Parker, running backs, new wide receivers.
A lot of fresh legs for Utah, and that's not really the case for Kansas State. I'm noticing Desmond Purnell is not in the game at his linebacker spot. Instead, it's 28 Rex Van Wy. You have to remember also starting linebacker Austin Romaine is out. So Kansas State down 2 linebackers right now. A lot of fresh legs coming at them from the Utah side.
2nd and 6, and a keeper. That is Ficklin, and Bird Ficklin, touchdown. Just wouldn't be tackled. And we're not even 5 minutes in to this second half, and Utah's grabbed the lead back. His 3rd rushing touchdown of the game.
I mean, there's nothing else to say about Bird Ficklin except this true freshman quarterback is special, and he is a star in the making. I mean, these are tough runs inside the tackles that he's making for just an 18-year-old kid. Really impressive.
Whatever happened in the locker room for Utah, it worked. Utes look like a different team.
No doubt about it. They came out with a new wave of energy here in the second half. Tough running by Ficklin, and we got a 4-point game in Salt Lake. Remember the message Kyle Whittingham gave at halftime? It was heard by his players. Big time touchdown pass on the first series to get the 3rd.
Something like that, maybe a little more pointed.
Absolutely.
Maybe a little more emotional. It has worked. Now Kansas State is going to return this kickoff. Rice will bring it out, and Rice gets popped across the 20-yard line. Meanwhile, the Wildcats offense, which was almost unstoppable in the first half, Kansas State went 3 and out their first drive of the half. So this feels like an important moment in this game for the Wildcats.
I think so, and a big question right now for Kansas State. Yes, they've been excellent when it comes to running the football this afternoon. 353 yards on the ground. But if you're going to hang with this Utah defense as we go through the second half, can you get something started in the air? Avery Johnson just 5 of 12 for 35 yards here today.
Some of it is they haven't needed it.
Correct.
But I think at this point you feel like in the second half, whether it's right now or later in the half, they are going to need it. All right, so whatever was going on, we got sorted out, and now the Wildcats will start their 2nd drive of the 3rd quarter. And Rice Eccles has come to life. Antonio Martin in the backfield alongside Avery Johnson. 1st and 10. Back to pass out to the right side, and a nice delivery to Tibbs for a good gain.
And that's a really good throw in rhythm by Avery Johnson. And you see what Utah's doing defensively. Morgan Scalley is not changing anything. It is pure man coverage, single high safety almost every single play. So I mentioned it. What can you get going through the air? I understand Kansas State, they're without their big play threat on the outside and Jace Brown. But what can you manufacture to create some explosive plays in the pass game versus all this man coverage?
2nd down and 4. Low snap. They'll give it to Martin anyway. Big hole straight ahead. Martin out into the open. Martin with a blocker in front. Left side. Flag thrown. He cuts it back in, and Martin gets in the end zone. For now, it's a touchdown. 73 yards, but there is a flag on the field, and we're well into the run. I don't know. We'll see. So it is a 1st down. It negates the touchdown. The flag on the young tight end Lincoln Cure.
So you're going to see Lincoln Cure right here on the left side of your screen. Go ahead and let this thing run. I'll say I don't know if I agree with that one there, Dave. Seemed to be pretty clean to me, and to take an explosive run and points off the board. I don't know. You got to think Chris Kleiman's pretty upset about that one.
Maybe had a little piece of the sleeve of the jersey. Maybe.
Yeah. Get the protractor out. I don't like that call. I just think that was a pretty good block by the true freshman tight end.
So it's still a positive gain out to midfield, but it takes that touchdown off the board. Play fake. Avery Johnson looking downfield, throws to the left side. That's caught, and the turn up by Tibbs for a Kansas State first down. The other thing that it does, Brock, even though the touchdown gets wiped out, it exposes that the hole is still there in the Utah run defense. Again, it happened.
It certainly is. And yes, I understand. We heard what Kyle Whittingham said. He feels like his guys aren't getting off of blocks. They're getting out of their gaps at times. But you need to credit this offensive front and the tight ends for Kansas State. They're doing an excellent job winning their one-on-ones up front. Man-to-man outside. You got to wonder if Avery Johnson is checking to a pass.
Instead, he hands it off to Jackson, who gets tripped up after a gain of 3. Jonathan Hall made the tackle. We're going to start pointing out all the tackles because there have been a lot of runs where the Kansas State ball carriers have never been tackled.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think everyone is surprised. You have to remember this defense for Utah coming into the ball game. They were top 10 in the country, and they haven't really had a lot of answers for this Kansas State offense throughout the afternoon.
2nd down and 7. Johnson fakes it, rolls left, kind of squares those shoulders, and even with the deflection, he gets the pass to Oakley. Oh, that was something. First down, Wildcats gain of 15.
That's really nice concentration by Garrett Oakley. It's not easy catching a pass that's tipped. Good job of Johnson staying alive. You see his eyes down the field. Good job by Oakley going to get that pass.
Another tip ball for Jonathan Hall. He seems to have a knack for that. Now Kansas State is going to be forced to wait because they substituted. Utah is going to make a substitution themselves. Jackson in the backfield. Tight end in motion. Handed off Jackson. And just a short gain on first down for a guy who's already set the stadium record for rush yards in a game.
I mean, this defense, they are quick triggered to get downhill right now. Keep an eye once that football snapped. If it's a run, you see safeties flying downhill. You see backers. At some point, you got to think Kansas State is setting this up for a play action pass over the top.
Maybe right here, right now. You got Jackson out wide left, so there would be no play fake because the backfield is empty. Now Jackson's going to motion back there. They'll fake it to him and roll right. Johnson's going to keep it. Avery Johnson with all that speed is going to go out of bounds right near the first down mark, but I don't think he got there. Elijah Davis, who had to sit out the first half, is on the field now in the second half, forced him out.
Well, really good coverage down the field by Utah, and that's what forces Avery Johnson to use his athleticism. And you're right, he's short. That's one, I get it, you want to protect your body, but when you're trying to knock off the number 12 team in the nation on the road, I don't mind seeing a quarterback lower his shoulder and making sure that he gets that first down.
Yeah, you got to get that one there. It's 3rd and 1. 6 minutes to go, 3rd quarter.
This is where you go hard play action.
They will give it to Jackson, and he leads ahead. We'll see where they spot him. Close. I think he got the first down. And they will say first down, Kansas State.
Really good effort inside by Joe Jackson. Yes, he's had the big explosive runs today, but he's also picked up some tough yards inside, 2-3 yards in between the tackles. Big back, almost 215 pounds. He's really kind of become the featured premier back over the last month or so for K-State.
Those plays, they're killing his per carry average. He's down to 17.5 yards a rush. First down. They can get a first down about at the 1. Johnson keeps it. Avery Johnson around the right side. That time he does lower his shoulder and took a hit. Sort of slow to get up.
Well, Garrett Oakley is just a complete tight end. Watch how he creates the lead block for Avery Johnson as they work out to the perimeter. Not only does Garrett Oakley hold the school record for tight ends most receiving touchdown passes, but like I said, he can block, he can do it all. This is a guy that's going to be playing football on Sundays.
Kind of got landed on. Avery Johnson did. Look at that. Over 400 rushing yards now for the game for Kansas State. We're still in the third quarter. Play clock is down to 2. Down to 1. They get it snapped. Handed off. Jackson straight ahead and stopped just short of the goal line. But that's going to be a first down. Remember, they could get the first down, and that's enough for 1st and goal, K-State.
Just another really good job by this offensive front. In particular, the left tackle, 78, John Pastore, does a great job working his double team, securing level 1, working up to the backer. This is an offensive line that clearly has great chemistry, and they're really in sync today.
What a drive. 78 yards over 6 minutes. And now 1st and goal. Pistol formation. Johnson hands it off. Jackson. And no, he got stopped short. Down to about the half-yard line. 2nd and goal coming up.
Well, Garrett Oakley, who's jogging off the field right now for Kansas State, he's really kind of been the go-to target in the red zone this season for Kansas State. But when you're about 2 or 3 inches away from scoring a touchdown, I will be shocked if this football goes in the air. I expect a series of runs right here from Kansas State.
Under center, Johnson. Play fake. Johnson is going to dive, and again he got stopped short. Got hit in the back. Did not get to the goal line. Smith Snowden stopped him.
What a play by Smith Snowden. He's originally in coverage, and then he peels off of his wide receiver to save a touchdown. Talk about a collision down there on the goal line.
Johnson's taking some hits. That's how much they need to go back ahead.
I mean, this is all about pad level right now. Who wants it more? I expect this football to stay on the ground.
Jackson in the backfield. 3rd and goal. Play fake again. Avery Johnson gets smashed, and they lost a couple of yards. Barton and Hall sandwiched the quarterback. And now it's 4th and goal.
Excellent job by Lander Barton. He's the middle linebacker, but he's playing on the edge on 3rd down. Stays disciplined with his eyes, reads his keys, and he's there to make the play on Avery Johnson. Excellent job.
So it's 4th and goal, and Kansas State, 14th play of the drive, is going for it. They got to get going here. Now maybe they're just going to use a timeout because there is no urgency with the play clock winding down. There is the timeout. Maybe Chris Kleiman wanted another minute to think about it. The decision to go for it, the play call. 35-31. What a game. 4th and goal when we come back.
Scalley's going to bring pressure here. That is what he does in these situations. If he plays man and brings pressure, I want to work one of my big tight ends on the outside. Great matchup. But if they play zone, that's where you have to be able to run the football in.
Low snap. Johnson throws wide open. Touchdown. Well, they got there quickly. They got the playoff. It almost got blown up because of the bad snap. But exactly what you said. The tight end was wide open. Oakley with the touchdown.
Just a bust by the Utah defense. When you play man and you bring pressure, it's tough to defend, but you have to give Kansas State a lot of credit. What did they do there? They waited till the last second to break the huddle. Puts a lot of pressure on the Utah defense to understand who you're going to cover, communicate, and make your calls. Excellent job by Matt Wells and his offense.
Just got a little chillier for the shirts off gang in the Utah student section after the Kansas State touchdown. Extra point up and good. And the Wildcats back up by 3, 38-35.
So breaking the huddle late sets this up. And then what you're going to see, this is a man-to-man mesh concept. Here's Oakley. He's going to sneak out to the flat, but keep an eye on the Utah defenders. Nobody covers him. That's what I'm saying. When you break the huddle late, you run to the line of scrimmage, and if you're bringing a pressure and playing man behind it, you got to make sure you account for your man. Excellent play design by Matt Wells. Great execution by Avery Johnson, getting that football over the defenders, putting a little touch on it. You saw that with Garrett Oakley. Top 10 defense by Utah coming into the game today. 477 total yards and 38 points to go with that for Kansas State. Just an excellent job by Matt Wells in this offense.
Averaging more than 10 yards per play. Bray is going to run up and take this one outside the 5. So Daniel Bray gets tackled at about the 23-yard line. Good coverage.
As how good of a season Avery Johnson has had.
Dampier just flings it up into double coverage, incomplete.
You know, just to finish with Johnson, certainly, yes, he's had some ups and downs. Last week on the road against Oklahoma State, it wasn't pretty at all. But you see that tying the school record. And then I think the thing that's been most impressive to me about Avery Johnson this year, it's the leadership that he's displayed. As they've gone through this 500 season when they had Big 12 championship aspirations, he's never pointed the finger. He shouldered the blame and led this team the right way.
2nd and 10 Utah, and well defended. My goodness. Bray gets wrestled down. Jordan Allen was in there to make a great play for a big loss.
Just great instincts by Allen. Watch how he shoots up the field here. And this is the only way you can stop these jet sweeps by Daniel Bray, because if he gets to the perimeter, he can take any play to the house. Excellent job by Jordan Allen, understanding what Utah is trying to do offensively and forcing a 3rd and long.
3rd and 16. As great as the Utes offense has been, they are not really equipped for these scenarios. Final minute of the 3rd quarter. And Dampier with time, buying some extra time. And now he's going to run, but just had nowhere to go. Good coverage downfield. It's 4th down.
Good coverage, but also what play are you supposed to call on 3rd and 16? Give Dampier some credit. Try to create a little something with his legs. But great coverage down the field by Kansas State. Nowhere to go with the football. And you can hear a pin drop in this stadium right now. And remember how the 2nd half started. Utah came out high flying. They score 14 points. That goes unanswered. But Kansas State, they just won't go away clawing back into this game.
So now the punter, Orion Phillips, back out there on the field. With Sterling Lockett, a high booming punt. Fair catch signal, and inside the 25. They'll make the fair catch. There was some contact at the end of the play, but no penalty flag thrown. So the Kansas State offense 6 seconds. And Kansas State's offense, after the long, impressive drive, gets the ball right back with a 3-point lead. Sun's starting to set behind us. Temperature dropping. Feels like November now in Utah. A huge game for the Utes. Johnson of the Wildcats offense back to pass, is going to swing it out right side. That's Jackson, who gets around the corner. Jackson down the right sideline. Finally out of bounds, but across the 40 out to the 42-yard line. 8 off are over. If they win, they've got a real decent chance to get there. Avery Johnson on 1st down. The quarterback for the Wildcats scrambles and got close, I think about a half-yard short.
Another good play call by Wells. Watch when this linebacker vacates with the running back. What does that leave? 5 defenders inside the box against 5 offensive linemen. This is a numbers game that Utah's not going to be able to win unless they can get off of blocks. This Kansas State offensive line, they've been excellent today.
And Kansas State now over 500 total yards of offense with the 4th quarter still to play. The Utah's defense just hasn't been able to stop them at all. Right at midfield, 2nd down and short. Jackson having the big game, is going to get the ball from Johnson. Jackson, there was another hole there. He got tripped up, and you can see him pound the turf with his fist, because I think he thought he had another chance to go all the way.
It was close. Arm tackles aren't bringing down Jackson today. Another great job by the offensive front. Offensive tackle and guard just did a great job of washing the Utah defensive lineman down to start that play.
Well, 1st down, Kansas State on the move again. Johnson takes a snap. Pressure coming. Johnson scrambling, and Johnson will throw it away. Just kind of sailed it right over the head of Jackson to prevent the sack and the loss.
Heads up play by Avery Johnson to get rid of that football. Just absolutely nowhere to go with it. Morgan Scally timing up an all-out pressure. Great coverage by the Utes out on the perimeter. Just had to ditch the football.
Saw Smith Snowden, the defensive back. He was a guy who got in there and forced Johnson to throw it away.
3 tight ends on the field right now for Kansas State. They've been in this personnel grouping often this afternoon.
Now it's Martin, the tailback, who's going to shift over to Johnson's left side. He'll get the carry straight ahead. Martin breaks a tackle. Martin gets a first down. The ground game has been almost unstoppable. Cash Dillon, the freshman, finally with the tackle.
I mean, it really has been over 420 yards on the ground today, but you see why. This is a Kansas State offensive line. They're getting a hat on a hat. They're winning the line of scrimmage, and then the backs are doing a great job of staying patient. And the creases haven't always been huge, but they'll find those little creases. They're picking up some tough yards inside.
1st and 10, Kansas State inside the Utah 35. Driving to try to add to their 3-point lead. Johnson's going to throw, and that one was in the air a long time, but it made it there to Garrett Oakley, complete for a gain of 8.
I love that route by the tight end, Garrett Oakley. He leans into the defensive back, Benny, to create some separation. Beautiful throw and catch.
Now Oakley down on the field at the end of that play. Maybe his right ankle.
Looks like that left ankle as Jackson Benny comes down, lands right on Oakley. It's put into an awkward position.
Yeah. Now Garrett Oakley, who has another touchdown catch, 13 career touchdown receptions. That's a good sign for K-State. He gets up and walks back toward their sideline. 6 touchdown catches this year.
Those 13 are a school record for tight ends. He's a big-time player for this Kansas State offense. Hopefully he's okay and able to get back out there in this game.
2nd and 2 for the Wildcats. 7th play of the drive coming. They moved 50 yards already. Joe Jackson having a record-setting night back in the game for the Wildcats. Morgan Scally, I mean, he's one of the better defensive coaches in the country. He has had no answers. 2nd and 2. And I think K-State moved. Utah thought they did. And
false start, offense, number 80, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So Will Ancio just getting a little bit of a head start for Kansas State. A couple times today this has happened when Avery Johnson has tried to snap the football using a voice cadence. You can see there he's not on the clap, he's using his voice. And right now Kansas State's down by the Utah student section. I just think it's too loud to try to use your voice in shotgun.
From 2nd and 2 to 2nd and 7, Jackson gets it right side. Jackson got hit hard, fell forward to get a yard, maybe 2. It'll be 3rd down.
And what a critical 3rd down this is for both of these teams. Kansas State, you're trying to punch in a touchdown, go up 2 possessions. Utah, you're trying to keep your college football playoff hopes alive. I expect Morgan Scally to bring pressure here defensively. So if you're Avery Johnson, you need to know where to go with this football quickly.
He's going to go under center. Those 2 tight ends will motion left. On 3rd down and 5, handoff. Jackson cuts it right. Jackson spinning. Jackson got very close. I think they're going to spot him short, though. So now what? On 4th down and a yard?
Wow.
Kansas State's keeping the offense on the field.
Just so impressive. It's 3rd and 5, and you're running the football. You're picking up 4.5 yards. Just so impressive by Kansas State.
Another bad spot, in my opinion.
It was really, really close.
So it's 4th and 1. Johnson pitches it. Jackson, and he'll get the first down. That was a different play call, and it worked.
I really, really like that play call there. by Matt Wells. You have to think you've been running inside, kind of downhill for these tough yards inside. It's 4th and a half a yard. Utah's selling out to stop that interior run game, so pitch the ball out to the perimeter where Utah's a bit softer. Great play call and execution by Kansas State.
Most rush yards allowed in the history of Utah football for their defense. In history. And Kansas State just set a new school record for rush yards by their offense in their history. They've been playing football for a long time. On first down, Jackson adds to that total by a yard.
I mean, if you've watched Utah since Kyle Whittingham has become the head coach 21 years ago, you know how much pride he takes in his defense, being physical, being tough, being disciplined, stopping the run. So the fact that Kansas State has come on the road this afternoon and rushed for 440 yards, there's nothing more demoralizing to a defense.
That clock winding. Under 10 minutes to go. Johnson alone in the backfield is going to run right. Design quarterback run. Trying to get to the corner. A little stiff arm, so that prevented the loss. Jackson Benny was there, but couldn't get him to the ground.
Wow. How about that stiff arm by Avery Johnson? Not only does he have great speed and athleticism, but you see the strength. Jackson Benny, who comes up to make the tackle, is a fantastic player in his own right. Avery Johnson sent him right down to the turf.
Another third down for Kansas State inside the Utah 20.
Last 3rd and 5. Kansas State elected to keep the football on the ground. We'll see if they stick with that same decision here.
12th play of the drive. Jackson leaves the backfield. Johnson rolling right, throws, and it's knocked away, incomplete. Trying to hit Tibbs in the end zone. Blake Cotton was there with the coverage. And it's 4th down and 5. The field goal unit is coming out.
Really good coverage by Blake Cotton down the field. See Avery Johnson fired up. You got to wonder if he wants to go for it here on 4th down. Really good coverage and a great job of Cotton getting a hand on that football.
I think he
you want a flag.
Should have been a penalty, yeah. So from 36 yards out, Luis Rodriguez. Good snap and hold, and that kick is good. So Kansas State, 12 plays, 59 yards. Can make it home in time to catch the race in person.
She'll get a watch from the air maybe as she's landing.
Oh, even better. Bird's eye view. Kickoff, Utah down 6. Playoff hopes on the line. Bray, the kick return, and nowhere to go. The special teams coverage for Kansas State has been excellent in this game. 8:45 to go in the 4th quarter.
Syracuse today.
Parker, first play, takes a direct snap for Utah and just had nowhere to go. So maybe a minimal gain. I mean, Utah fans, they typically don't root for BYU anyway. The game tonight in Cincinnati, Utah will definitely be rooting for Cincinnati, trying to leapfrog BYU in those next rankings if the Utes can escape with a win. Play fake, Dampier throws it left, and now the turn, and again, well defended. Larry Simmons got swarmed. Rich made the tackle. It's 3rd down right away.
And what a massive 3rd down this is. Down 6 points just as the clock runs under 8 minutes to go in the game. You have to remember Kansas State, their last 2 possessions, one was over 8 minutes, the other was 6 minutes. So if you're not able to convert here on 3rd down, you risk not getting the football back.
3rd and 7 Utah. Dampier design run. Dampier straight ahead takes a hit. The ball came out and Kansas State falls on it. He had the first down, the huge hit, and the ball popped out, and the Wildcats come up with a turnover.
What a play by the senior safety, VJ Payne. Number 7, he's been battling a high ankle sprain all season long. Hasn't been able to practice every week walking around in a walking boot, but finds a way to be a warrior, get out there on the field on game day, and comes in with a game-changing play. Gets a shoulder on that football. What a play.
And I think it was Cody Stufflebean who found the ball on the turf, made the recovery. The Utes are now in big trouble. Well, they had the first down. Instead, the turnover. A hit by V.J. Payne. And Utah fans know their season's on the line. 7:41 to go. Johnson and the Wildcats offense right back on the field. Jackson left side run, and Jackson found that crease, but only for 2 yards. Tackled by Jonathan Hall.
I was going to say, really good job by Jonathan Hall tracking down the ball carrier from his outside linebacker position. Just great effort.
Kansas State, they want to be deliberate now. They're already in field goal range, leading by 6. They'll shift and hand it to Jackson straight ahead. There goes Jackson. Joe Jackson, an all-time night into the end zone for another touchdown. 24 more yards. 47-35. And Kyle Whittingham, the headsets come off. He's sick of it. Almost 500 rush yards for Kansas State today. The most Utah's ever given up. The most Kansas State has ever had. Joe Jackson's had the most rushing yards for any one player in the history of this stadium. And that one has silenced this crowd.
Unbelievable afternoon by Joe Jackson. 291 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns to go along with it. Just playing inspired football.
Kansas State going for 2. Johnson is going to throw, and it's knocked away, deflected, and actually intercepted. There is a penalty flag. Returnable, and here goes Utah. Teo Johnson. Avery Johnson trying to catch him. Teo Johnson angling, and he's going to go all the way. Now there is a flag back in the end zone, so this one might be negated by the penalty. And we just got some conditioning in for everybody, maybe for no good reason.
Fireworks are going off, but I think this football is coming back. It's going to be pass interference on Smith Snowden, who's out in coverage on the tight end, Lincoln Cure. You see on the right side of your screen, the contact happens earlier in the down.
There's no foul on the play. The play is 2 points for Utah.
Wow. So they just picked up the penalty flag, waved it off, and Utah gets 2. I mean, that's huge. Chris Kleiman is just losing his mind over on the sideline. That's a boost for the Utes' hope. They still are up against it, but now down just by 10 after they take the 2-point conversion try back. First things first, what a night for Joe Jackson. Incredible all-time game. But then off the deflection, they picked up the penalty flag. Teo Johnson might have saved the Utes' hopes in this one. Back to action very quickly. The kickoff after just a crazy sequence. Kansas State gets a turnover, gets a touchdown, goes for 2, and a penalty overturned. The 2-point conversion actually goes the opposite way. So with 7 minutes to go, 10-point deficit for Utah. Quick check in studio with Kevin. So that's a big game. So is this one, and Utah is up against it. Parker with the carry. Time is definitely a big factor now. We're under 7 minutes to go. A gain of 9, I believe, on that first play of this drive with the clock running.
And you see Utah, they're staying at the line of scrimmage. They understand they need 2 possessions here, trying to play with a little bit of tempo.
Dampier in the pocket, throws, and the slant caught by Whittemore. First down, Utah. Interesting, we just haven't seen a whole lot of Bird Ficklin in this game. He has 3 rushing touchdowns But how many snaps has he taken as the quarterback? Maybe 6 or 7?
That's a good point, and we haven't really seen him in the second half. But now that you're in an obvious passing situation, I expect it to be all Devin Dampier down the stretch. And this is an offense they need to go. The time is not in their favor right now.
No, even that's just taking way too long when you're down 10. Dampier will go outside and get shoved out of bounds after a short gain.
Now remember, Dampier, he's a very capable passing quarterback, but this system, this offensive system under Jason Beck, they're built to run the football with a lead. So this is going to be interesting to see how they play this. Once again, they need 2 offensive possessions. They still need to get a stop, so they need to get going in a hurry.
You can see Dampier, he's yelling at the sideline like, give me a play. It's just, that's frustrating for him, I think. He'll throw this one, and that's complete into Kansas State territory. Simmons with the catch, gain of 15.
Just too easy outside. Soft coverage by Kansas State, giving the wide receivers free access. That's just pitch and catch in the backyard.
Now they're going a little faster. Parker straight ahead run, nowhere to go. So good tackle there by Kansas State. Des Purnell might have missed a few plays on defense. Back out on the field, he's had a really good year.
I mean, I get it. You have an explosive run game. If you're Utah, you can score in a hurry. But you got to go. Your college football playoff hopes are on the line. If you're Jason Beck, you need to be throwing this football right now and chewing up yards down the field through the air.
He does throw it. Dampier does, but the tackle inbounds, short gain. Just 3 yards to Bentley, the tight end. Clock continues to roll.
Well, now the most important thing is to get a first down. So you're going to sequence this thing in anticipation that this is 4-down territory.
Dampier pitches it to Parker right side. Parker, it depends on where they spot him. He was angling out of bounds, and they'll say he went out well short. I mean, he jumped forward and thought he got it. They spot him a couple yards short.
Well, and Utah has a decision to make here. I get it. This would be a very long field goal for Dylan Curtis, but technically it is within range for the freshman kicker. But you see no hesitation by Kyle Whittingham. He wants to go for it on 4th down.
Clock rolling. Kansas State substituting. Now I think the Wildcats might have jumped off sides. Parker, if the play stands, did not get the first down. When they handed it off to Parker, and he didn't get there. But there were a couple different flags thrown, and not so much on the line of scrimmage, but more back in the secondary.
Well, you're going to have too many men on the field.
Substitution on the defense, 12 players on the field, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, it's Eli Leo and Obi Izor trying to get off the field, and they need to be sprinting. They're doing a light jog trying to get off the field on 4th down, and just a critical error by 2 defensive linemen.
You know, it's interesting. We just haven't seen that enforced that much this year. We've seen officials hold plays at the line of scrimmage for longer. I think actually that's probably the way it's supposed to be done. Going downfield and knocked away, incomplete. Good play on the ball by Rich.
That's a really good point you make, because you see it all the time in college football. The officials give the defense plenty of time to substitute, jog off the field, but you got to wonder if the officials kind of sped things up because of the situation here in the 4th quarter.
2nd down and 10 coming up after that pass broken up by Zayshawn Rich. Now timeout Kansas State, again having a hard time, I think, getting Reese Eccles. 10-point lead Kansas State. Utah ball. Under 4 minutes to go. Dampier is going to throw it, and there was no receiver over there. It's incomplete. He threw it towards an offensive lineman. They're going to throw a penalty.
I was going to say that's intentional grounding.
That's a disaster for Utah. You need 2 scores. That puts you out of field goal range, probably.
Intentional grounding. Offense, number 4. Ball was placed at the spot of the foul. Penalty includes the loss of down. 3rd down.
Just a 4-man rush by Kansas State. Nowhere to go with the football down the field. Really good coverage. Dampier trying to create with his legs outside the pocket. You see the pursuit by Kansas State, and then you see there's no eligible ball carrier anywhere in the vicinity of that throw. And now facing a 3rd and 22. Not where you want to be.
Loss of 12, loss of down. maybe loss of a chance for a field goal.
Just get inside the 40-yard line so you can give Dylan Curtis a chance at 3 points.
Parker in the backfield. Dampier near midfield. Pump faking. Now throws, and it's caught right near the first down mark by Larry Simmons. Spotted about a half a yard short. And we'll see what Kyle Whittingham wants to do.
No hesitation. Looks like they're going to go for it. How about that play, though, by Larry Simmons? Only his 8th reception on the entire season. Excellent throwing catch.
Well, they are going for it. They will hand it off. Parker right side. Parker breaks a tackle and gets the first down. That was a tough run of just a couple yards to keep Utah's hopes alive tonight.
Talk about a guy who would not be denied on 4th down. What an effort by Parker.
Now a Utah player is down. Is that Spencer Fano, the All-American tackle? Sort of face down on the turf.
Desmond Purnell, the linebacker for Kansas State, just kind of got tossed into him trying to make the tackle, something you hate to see.
Yeah, fingers crossed for Spencer. He's going to sit up now and get helped up.
It's those leg whips that so many times just get an offensive lineman. They don't know the contact's coming. Just trying to sustain his block. Ooh. All right, so Spencer Fano's right here, and this is Purnell that I mentioned coming in to make the tackle. Watch how he gets whipped right into the knee of Fano.
Yikes.
Never a good sight.
So hopefully he's all right. His brother Logan, both of whom went through senior day today. One of the players helping him off the field and into the tent.
Fano, an All-American a season ago, more than likely going to be the first offensive lineman taken in the NFL draft this year.
Dampier toward the corner of the end zone and caught! Touchdown, Larry Simmons. What a throw and catch. This game's not over from 20 yards out. Extra point coming to make it a 3-point ball game. Well, maybe it took a little longer than Utah wanted, but the main thing is they had to get points on that drive and almost had to have a touchdown, and they got it.
Well, the seldom used Larry Simmons comes up huge twice in that drive, one on 3rd and long, and then winning his one-on-one matchup outside. Big time plays by Larry Simmons.
And a hugely important extra point to make it a 3-point ball game.
Well, just a really good job at Dampier on the throw, but also recognizing the one-on-one matchup outside. Watch how the safety keeps his eyes on the tight end. That's what allows that one-on-one matchup outside. Dampier recognizes it. And then just an excellent job of Simmons adjusting to the football in the air on the back shoulder. Beautiful throw, great catch. And Larry Simmons coming up big in the game's biggest moments.
A lot of different heroes really on both sides, especially on the Utah side tonight in a crazy game in Salt Lake City. Utes playoff hopes are still very much on the line. They have all 3 timeouts for Utah, plus the 2-minute timeout. You wonder if Kyle Whittingham had any thoughts about an onside kick with all the issues they've had trying to stop the run. I would guess with the timeouts and the 2-minute timeout, they'll kick it deep.
That would be my guess as well. I get it. Your defense has had issues stopping Kansas State today, but with the 2-minute timeout, 3 timeouts in your back pocket, you have to assume at some point your defense is going to step up. They're going to get a stop. They're going to make a play. And I think you also need to lean on the home environment here at Rice-Eccles. They're going to get going this drive.
Yes, they will. A record-setting night for the Kansas State rush offense. I'm sure the Wildcats, though, are protecting against that possibility, but it is a deep kickoff and through the end zone for a touchback. So here we go with 2:47 to go. Second half summary. Kansas State has scored on 3 of its 4 drives. Utah 5 drives, 3 touchdowns. Crowd comes to life. Utah has their timeouts to use.
Can Avery Johnson come up with a couple first downs? He has been built for this moment, making his 25th career start today, tying a school record for touchdowns. Can he knock off the upset, the number 12 team here on the road this evening?
First down. Johnson's going to throw. And in fact, he's going to get sacked. Loses a couple yards. Logan Fano, who just helped his brother into the injury tent a moment ago, gets to the quarterback.
Well, a great job by Fano, but in a lot of ways, it kind of looks like a broken play by Kansas State. You see some receivers running routes. Fano zero right there is going to get to the quarterback, but it's like Avery Johnson was hesitating. Do I run? Do I throw? That was an offense that wasn't organized, and Logan Fano took advantage of it.
Timeout, Utah. They have 2 left. You start using those timeouts, you have to get the stop here. If Kansas State gets even 1 first down, they're almost certainly going to win this game.
Yeah, and how do they get that first down? You know, I'm really surprised of that play call on first down. As good as they've been running the football between the tackles today, I really thought Kansas State would stick with that. We'll see what they call here on second down to make this a potential 3rd and manageable situation.
Out of the timeout, 2nd and 11. Jackson shifts around in the backfield. They're going to give it to Jackson, and he's got nowhere to go. Another timeout. Maybe a couple yards. 3rd down coming up.
Well, if you know Utah football, you know Morgan Scalley's going to bring pressure in the game's biggest moments, and that's exactly what he does with this corner cat. They're bringing more bodies to stop the run game. You know that's what Kansas State wants to do. Excellent play call, and then the execution by Smith Snowden to get in there and get the back to the ground.
And just one more quick historical note. The 3rd and 9, the play of the game coming for Joe Jackson. That run just broke Darren Sproles' all-time single-game Kansas State rush record. He's got 293 yards tonight.
What a day for that young man. Sophomore out of Haines City, Florida. Career night here on the road. But here's the game's biggest play. 3rd and 9. How can you pick up a first down if you're Kansas State? You know Morgan Scalley's going to play man coverage and bring pressure. You're down your top wide receiver in Jace Brown. Your go-to tight end Garrett Oakley's on the sideline with an injury. What mismatch can you find?
Johnson, pressure coming, delivers the ball, but the tackle in the open field, and Tibbs is stopped short. Kyle Whittingham uses that final timeout, and Kansas State is going to have to give the ball back.
Well, what a stop by this Utah defense. We said it. You know Morgan Scalley's going to bring pressure. So there's 3 defensive backs for the 3 wide receivers. Excellent job of Smith Snowden driving on that inside slant route and forcing a punt by Kansas State. I mean, you want to talk about a big-time play. As a defensive back, you know your season is on the line. Your college football playoff hopes are on the line, and you know you're one-on-one with no help outside. That is an elite play by Smith Snowden.
And remember, Brock, the 2-point conversion, penalty flag picked up, tip play, 2 points for Utah means this is a 3-point game. Not a 4 or 5-point game. A field goal can tie it. The punt. Kind of a line drive punt. And it is returnable. The turn upfield. And a tackle close to the 30-yard line. That's where the Utah offense comes back on the field. No timeouts. But the 2-minute timeout looming. Dampier in the. This is the play we were talking about.
Look at the top of your screen. That's Smith Snowden in coverage on Cure, the tight end. Flag is originally thrown. You mentioned it, Dave. The ball's returned. Flag ends up getting picked up. If that was originally a no call for defensive pass interference, I would be okay with that decision. But the fact that the flag was thrown, there was some contact. I mean, that's really the story of the game with 2:25 to go.
Otherwise, Utah would have to go score a touchdown. Now, a field goal could tie it. Dampier across the middle, and a pass caught, then the ball's out. And Kansas State has it, but they're going to say incomplete. Simmons had it.
Incomplete pass. Second down.
And Utah would do well probably to get to the line and snap another play.
Boy, that was really close. I don't think Larry Simmons had time to have full possession of that and make a football play.
I think it was a good call.
Yeah, great call by the officials.
2:19 to go. 2nd and 10. Dampier throws right side, pass caught, and then the shove out of bounds. Whittemore with the catch.
Good
Third
job.
down and short.
Really good job of recognizing the soft coverage to the boundary. Take the gimme throw to make this a third manageable.
A long field goal, you need at least probably 25 more yards. Option play. And Parker got tripped up. He did not get there. So now the 2-minute timeout comes. And Utah needs a yard. Rich is down on the turf. We'll take a timeout and come back for the final 2 minutes right after this. Oh, no kidding. Just amazing game here in so many different ways. And it comes down to this. 4th and 1 out of the 2-minute timeout. Utah's season on the line. They need a yard. Dampier with Parker is going to fake it. Dampier straight ahead. There he goes. Dampier inside the 30 to the sideline. Inside the 5.
Well, watch what the jet sweep does to the defense. It pulls some defenders out of the box. It creates some hesitation, and that is all Devin Dampier needs for the game-breaking play. The slightest hesitation, and he'll make you pay.
Handoff. Parker gets stuffed, stays on his feet, and now is going to go down. Utah figures they've got the field goal to tie cinched, but they want a touchdown to try to win this game.
Absolutely. You don't want to take this thing to overtime if you don't have to. I mean, your college football playoff hopes are on the line. You're down there on the inside the 5-yard line. Utah, one of the best red zone offenses in the country this year, scoring touchdowns at 80% a clip.
2nd and goal. Dampier did not quite get there. A yard away. Oh my goodness.
What
final minute. Kansas State is going to use its last timeout. Chris Kleiman had to run about 50 yards out on the field to get the timeout. Dampier thought he got in. He was spotted short.
Well, good effort by Dampier, but how about the effort by Travis Bates, 39, to hustle down the line of scrimmage? Otherwise, Dampier's punching that one in for 6 and taking the lead.
Inches away. So now you think through it. You got 54 seconds on the clock. If somehow Kansas State could stop them and it's 4th and goal, if you're Utah, do you try to win the game?
Well, that's the real decision, right? That's what Kyle Whittingham has already made a decision on. And if you followed him over the last 21 years that he's been the head coach here at Utah, he's one of the most aggressive guys when it comes to these situations. I would be shocked if they don't go for the win. So he's telling his offensive coordinator, Jason Beck, right now, if that's the case, hey, you have 2 plays to go get a half a yard. And you got to think the football is going to stay in Devin Dampier's hands.
An all-time crazy game here tonight. More than 1,100 yards of total offense. And Kansas State, record-setting night of rushing offense. But now Avery Johnson has to be over there thinking he may still have some work to do on his end if Utah can tie or take the lead.
Well, and he's thinking, hey, Utah, if you're going to score, do it right now, because I want some time to try to get a touchdown of my own if need be.
3rd and goal inside the 1 for Utah. Parker and Dampier. Parker in motion. Dampier keeps it. Dampier, touchdown, Utah! Seven plays, 70 yards, under a minute and a half with 56 seconds on the clock. And a very big extra point coming up here. The Utes' playoff hopes are still alive.
How about that effort by Devin Dampier? Talk about a quarterback that would not be denied. He met linebacker Desmond Purnell, all 232 pounds of him in the hole, and punch that football in.
Extra point is good. That's huge. Now Kansas State is going to need a touchdown.
Well, how did they get down there? It's this explosive run by Dampier. The jet sweep by Utah gets that Kansas State defense just to hesitate just for long enough to allow Devin Dampier for the big breakout run. And then that's what I mentioned. That's Purnell and Dampier meeting in the hole at the goal line. Who wants it more? And Devin Dampier would not be denied.
Absolutely incredible. Utah was down 47-35 with Kansas State lining up to go for 2. Tipped ball, interception, take it back the other way to get 2 points for the Utes. Touchdown, touchdown. It's 51-47 with 54 seconds left and Kansas State out of timeouts.
What a ball game we witnessed this afternoon and evening here at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Whichever team ends up losing this football game, you just feel so terrible for, because both teams have completely laid it all out on the line. What a performance by both Kansas State and Utah.
"54 seconds from keeping those playoff hopes alive for the Utes." Kickoff is going to go into the end zone, so the Wildcats will start at the 25. They got to go 75.
They do, and it's not going to be easy. Remember, Kansas State is without their top wide receiver in Jace Brown. Also, their go-to tight end, Garrett Oakley, came off the field in the second half with an injury. So they are down some skill players with this Kansas State offense. How can Avery Johnson work a miracle here late at Rice-Eccles?
54 seconds remaining. Johnson in the pocket is going to throw. Triple coverage over there, intended for Tibbs, incomplete.
Well, really good coverage by Utah. We know how much man coverage they want to play, but with the lead in just 49 seconds and Kansas State with no timeouts, they're going to play more zone coverage. That's exactly what they did. Just nowhere to go with the football for Avery Johnson.
Jackson in the backfield alongside Johnson, in to help pass protect. Johnson scrambling, throws across his body, and it's intercepted. The senior, Lander Barton. And that's going to do it. A crazy come from behind win for Utah. A guy who grew up coming to this stadium, watching the Utes as a little kid, dreaming of playing for this team. His final game in the uniform in this stadium, and the interception to clinch it.
I mean, it's just like a Hollywood movie for Lander Barton. What a play. Avery Johnson trying to create outside the pocket. See Morgan Scalley, defensive coordinator, celebrating with Kyle Whittingham. But it's Lander Barton who puts the nail in the coffin for Kansas State, who brought their A game today. They threw their best punch, but Utah would not be denied. What a ball game, Flem.
Incredible, truly. And you feel for the Wildcats. They just played so well, and they've had a year of heartbreak and disappointment, and a chance to get a win and really salvage the year. Instead, just an incredible game that the folks here in Salt Lake City are going to be talking about for a long, long time.
Yes, they will. How about that fight and determination by Kyle Whittingham's ball club?